And welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 of our Risen Esports semifinal performance. We have Crank up 1-0 currently in the series over RNG. We're going to see if RNG can rebound after a very strong early game performance and then a very suspect late game decision-making coming in from them, as Crank had a very strong performance coming in at the end.
Right, absolutely. And hopefully it looks like RNG has practiced quite a few comps coming into this. At the very least, they knew what it was they wanted to do in the laning phase. We just need for them to be able to transition this into the late game, be able to execute on the 4-1 if they pick another 4-1. Crank also had very good planning when it came to their comp in terms of building a siege comp. They just really needed things to go right. If they could just tidy up their early game a little bit, especially with lane dominant champions like Caitlyn, at the very least being able to maybe pick a melee support, maybe an engaged support, give them a little bit more bite to that Shyvana in terms of gank assist. They have a lot of options at their disposal.
Yeah, there was just some they had decent priority in lane, but they were never able to actually get to the tower and hit the tower due to the ganks coming in from Hellfire on that Bully Bear. But if they had a little bit better vision control, if maybe Corinthian had invested in some early control wards, getting those down, because we saw a bunch of control wards coming out of the side of RNG. But the issue was that started falling off as the game get later and later on. They had a very, very strong early to mid game. But again, that late game is really when it started to fall apart. And I don't know if that's because of the subs coming in for them. However, I wouldn't hold it against them to see if they do control this game number 2, as we are going to see the Nasus and Xayah and Taric all coming through once again. Though the Xayah does swap sides, Luck's being taken away from Anchor though this game.
Yeah, they're not looking to see any more final sparks be fired backwards. It was just really intimidating. For the side of RNG, they definitely can't take that. But I don't blame if RNG tries to go for a team fight comp there. At the very least, the support on their roster is known for playing quite a bit of Taric. I don't know if he's going to be the one subbing, but I don't think he is. For Lala, that is. But in terms of still trying to just take away caster supports, make it an easier bot lane for him, because I Miss Dad and Arrow had a field day. In the first pick, Kai'Sa.
Yeah, so that was after Volibear and Zyra winded out those bans. As we've said with Kai'Sa, she's very much a hit or miss champion, but I do like RNG taking away the Maokai. But again, it's an early rotation on the Maokai. There's a lot of picks that are very strong into the Maokai. That's Crank can look to pick up. Right.
They could definitely take the Trundle themselves into the Maokai if they'd like. I'm more wondering if we get a pretty cool interaction between Kai'Sa and that Maokai. If he tries to twist advance the shield, he's away. But in terms of strength in the jungle, they're kind of just trading roles here, taking the Shyvana and Maokai for themselves on the sides of RNG. This once again not going to give them the strongest 2v2, but you just saw I'm His Dad, and the only death was the losing team fight on his gen. I'm really excited to see him play this Kai'Sa. And the Nautilus you were hoping for. Let's go into support.
Actually, that is a Anchor special, and he is in the mid lane, so I doubt it's going to him in the mid lane. But yes, you are probably right. It is probably going down to that bot lane for Lala. Actually, no. Is this going to be AP Nautilus mid, or is it Lulu? Or is it AP Lulu mid?
Either way, you could throw Nautilus. Used to be pretty proficient in the top lane, but that was because you could basically spam his E on no mana cost when they buffed that up last season.
It's still not technically a bad pick into Maokai. I apologize for cutting you off there.
No, you're good.
Because you have lane priority as the Nautilus into the Maokai, so again, it's still not a terrible pick. And that is the spicy pick I want to see in the support role. At least I'm thinking it's support.
Oh, absolutely. You can just blow up that little Lulu and the Kai'Sa. But what do you think of this 2v2 in terms of Kai'Sa Lulu? I'm thinking picks would probably be a good addition to Kai'Sa's auto attacks, but I don't think that it synergizes very well with the W. In terms of her playstyle, either Lulu's really just trying to remain back for maybe like a Caitlyn or somebody that can take a little bit of control with their auto attacks, whereas Kai'Sa's super short range like a Lucian.
Yeah, and the fact that she's more of an AD caster than a auto attacker.
Right.
with her Q on such a low cooldown, as we are going to see Corki once again being banned away by Crank and Darius being taken away up in that top lane. So they must be thinking that is going to be a mid lane or a support Nautilus with that Darius ban coming in here.
Yeah,
I'm still going to be curious to see how the rest of the comp lines out, as we are going to see Warwick being off the table. There's going to be no Wolves on the Rift in this game.
Absolutely, and they don't want to see that Xerath anymore either. They might transition that. You always got the ability to flex that brand up to the top lane, but if they want to keep that flex alive, or mid lane rather, yeah, you're gonna have to take your AD carry here into the Kai'Sa. I don't know. I haven't been playing enough with many Kaisas.
I would just pick Caitlyn. I mean, MF did get buffed and is a very strong poke champion, so she can provide a lot of lane dominance coming in here. My only concern is don't really have a lot of synergy with the MF in terms of AoE CC. They have a bunch of AoE damage between the brand, the Shyvana, and the MF, but there's not that AoE CC. And there is a certain pick that did get through this time around, and that did also get through last time that I would love to see them pick up, which is that Galio. I would love to see a Galio with the team comp that RNG have drafted, as we are going to see Sejuani going into the jungle role, can get punished extremely heavily by the Shyvana, but a very solid team fight champion for them.
Where we need to figure out where this Nautilus goes now. And I don't think that the Misfortune's that bad of a pickup in terms of synergizing with the brand. Your E can slow down, make it easier for the brand to land the stun if they like. Oop, it looks like Nautilus is going top lane. What's the top lane Malzahar?
Probably top lane Nautilus with mid lane Malzahar, probably.
Right. Unfortunately.
My good friend Magical Voice somewhere is crying that it's not full AP Nautilus mid, but
right. Hoping to see it. Let's say with the namesake coming in on it too. So I don't know how it will. I don't think they blind pick the Nautilus into the mid lane, but is that a mid lane
Jace? I mean, they have enough AP from the brand that they can get away with running this Jace in the mid lane here. My only concern is this is a very low CC composition coming in from RNG, but dear God,
on CC for CRC, they got two C's in their name. Like, geez.
And everyone on their team has some form of CC.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's going to warrant a QSS out of RNG. The problem is that if Maokai and Shyvana get as tanky as they did in the last game, that's just kind of going to be the end of it, I think, because you got enough damage with Brand, Jason, Misfortune to jump onto the Kai'Sa, jump onto the Lulu, jump onto the Malzahar. All you have really is that single target damage on the side of CRC, so they're going to be reliant upon maintaining vision control. They're going to do picks out of the Sejuani ulti, but then again, the tank line for CRC, they're both drafted these front-to-back team comps, so it's going to be just rely on execution once again.
Yes, it's going to be very reliant on execution. However, one advantage that RNG does have is that they're not so reliant upon just sieging, because Xerath's not the best teamfight champion, Jhin not the best teamfight champion. They've got a lot of teamfight in their bot lane and their top lane. Then they've got Shyvana and Jace who can kind of roam around in pretty much 2v2, pretty much any matchup that CRC wants to put together. However, with the amount of CC they have on their composition, you mentioned the Shyvana and the Maokai going in, but the thing is Nethergrass is percent health damage. So that Shyvana goes in for Elfire. I imagine we're just going to see that ultimate immediately come down onto the Shyvana. However, that does lock you in place as Malzahar, which leaves you very vulnerable to the brand ultimate, to the Misfortune ult. So it's a lot of interesting little pieces here in these two team compositions.
Right. I think the Kai'Sa might have a decent time into RNG's team comp simply because she is short range, yes, but like you mentioned, the only CC they have down is the Maokai. So as long as she can avoid the Maokai or Maokai's attention is taken up elsewhere, I think she can actually go pretty ham on this backline, especially with a lot of the buffs she was given in the past patch. But Jace, like you mentioned before, they learned from last game. You don't want to have your Xerath in the side lane. Go pick up a Jace, go pick up a Maokai. No matter what, your side lane is going to be taken care of. You should be just fine. Jace has a lot of mobility and Misfortune too to get around this map in turn with Shyvana. So the catch potential on RNG is going to be pretty high, especially with a squishy Lulu, a squishy Malzahar. They don't have a lot of escapes to get out, even though they have a lot of CC on CRC. They don't have a lot of ways to get away if they can't maintain vision control, which they were really not not strong at in the early game to mid game in game one.
Their way of getting away is fighting you. That's right. essentially the getaway card for CRC here. But I mean, but something that we do need to mention though is the power that Nautilus has into something like a Misfortune. Because if Misfortune looks to set up with that bullet time, that ultimate's immediately going on to that Misfortune. It's going to cancel that ultimate extremely quickly, plus all that AoE knockup that you're going to get from that ultimate.
Right. No, you're not wrong. And there's not a lot of blocking factors to stop the Nautilus, to stop the Sejuani ulti that can just kind of stuff her right in the face to turn everything down. They don't have a horrible siege with Jason Brand to be able to siege on CRC, but I think CRC just has massive amounts of engage. Like you got to be so careful in terms of managing your side waves. So
I don't think it's really going to be. I don't think this game's going to be really a matter of sieging. It's going to be a matter of team fighting. I think that's going to be what this game is entirely going to be about. Because we are finishing up the redo on Champs Select, so to speak. Here, looking across at these two teams here, I don't really know which one I really favor on paper. I think it's really up in the air.
Right, and in terms of like just going lane by lane, right? Maokai, Nautilus, top lane, wet noodle fight, nobody really cares, right? Sejuani shows up, Shyvana shows up, still pre-6, doesn't. I mean, you can take down the opposing tank if your jungler can get a good gank out, massive amounts of gank assists. But I don't think that even if you have a 2v2 counter gank shows up, that there's really the biggest because of permafrost mostly, and the Nautilus passive being able to be applied both ways. Shyvana, I would normally give a little bit more in the damage department, but I think it's pretty equivocated out just by how quickly they can lock you down. Jason, the mid lane, also doesn't really have that much gank assist for Shyvana, so it's just going to be kind of a pushing war into Malzahar. We can see if Mista can or Doctor rather can put on his best Khan impression. Try to decimate the Malzahar, because the Malzahar doesn't have very much push in lane and Jace can just QE one shot where the most of your push when it comes to Malzahar is in W with your minions. So he'll probably be looking to max his Q to get as much push in the lane as he can, but I think Jace just has so much safety and so much freedom to be able to do what he wants in that middle lane pre-6, because Malzahar just can't do anything to lock him down. So
the biggest question is how early are we going to see the Malzahar tax coming in?
Right. No.
By the way, and also just to clarify that point real quick, for those who don't know, the Malzahar tax is an adaptation from the Skarn patch, which is basically if you're dealing with a suppression, you have to buy a QSS because that is your only way out of that ability.
Right. You're definitely going to have one on Brand, definitely going to have one on Misfortune. I think Maokai and Shyvana can probably get away without one, but Jace doesn't want to pause his build. I'm interested to see what he goes, because lethality was also nerfed on Jace. You know what I mean? So is he going to go Black Cleaver into maybe a Blade of the Rune King, or something like with the classic Jace builds? Are we going to still see the lethality come through anyway? Because Jace was a big, a big proponent of building straight into Yomu's into Duskblade, but with the Duskblade nerfs, he didn't get any of those sort of retroactive damage buffs put back into his kit like they did for like a Wukong or a Talon or a Zed,
My best guess, the way I would build Jace in this game is I would rush early tier, and then go Yomu's into Edge of Night, into Black Cleaver. That would be the build I would go. And then probably a Blade of the Ruin King at some point in there. You could technically skip the tier and go much more on-hit build and go the Yomu's, the Edge of Night, and then go into Blade of the Ruin King to give you that side lane pressure into that massive front line that you're going to have to deal with Sejuani and Nautilus.
Right. And that's kind of the problem that I have with the comp of RNG at the very least by picking this Misfortune is, sure, you have a lot of damage in the laning phase. I think that her and Brand are going, because of Kai'Sa's range disadvantage, they're going to have a lot of pressure in this lane. So they're going to be able to put down a Hurton on, because Lulu's not really going to provide you with much lane presence whatsoever, at the very least, with how low, because her range was buffed up on Kai'Sa from 525 to 500 to 525 rather. So she has a little bit more in terms of farming power, but when it comes to later in the game, which the last game went 45 upwards of 50 minutes, that once these tanks get tanky, there's no way the Misfortune can do anything. Like, you're going to be relying upon Brand's percentage health damage, Shyvana for burning through these tanks, and I think like Jace pretty much has to go like either a Black Cleaver or a Bork or anything to just be relevant. You know what I mean?
I think he has to get both. In all honesty, I don't think he can afford to pick one or the other. As we are getting into the loading screen here, we're gonna wait just a second here. Then we're gonna give you guys the rundown on these two teams. Once again, want to see everyone in that Twitch chat throwing up the hashtag CRC win or hashtag RNG win here, as we're looking to see if RNG is going to make this a series or whether or not Team Crank can go 2-0 and push RNG to the brink. And on the blue side, we're going to have Team Crank for this game. We have the Nate Rose in the top lane on Nautilus, Bear Cavalier, Shevjuani for Corinthian in the jungle, Anchor in the mid lane playing the Overlord Malzahar, and then we have Bullet Angel Kaisa for Monkey. Excuse me, not Monkey. I don't know why I said Monkey there, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about what I say anyway. And then we have the Star Guardian Lu for Lala down in the bot lane.
And on the red side, coming up again, you got your RNG, Mr. Pudding in the top lane on the Maokai this time, Elfire in the jungle on the Shyvana, see what they can do. Interesting St. Broom choices. Doctor in the mid lane with the Jace. I miss Dad on the Misfortune this time, and Arrow on the Brand in the bot lane.
So something I do want to quickly mention is, number one, the Maokai and Shyvana skins are the exact same as last game.
They are throwing it back around. That's actually hilarious.
Also, the other thing is that it is actually a change in the keystone choice for the Maokai. The Maokai in the last game went with that Aftershock, but Mr. Pudding is picking up that Grasp of the Undying. It's going to give him a little bit of extra sustain into that Nautilus, which you really honestly need as Maokai with the amount of pressure that Nautilus can put out in the early game.
Right, and I agree with that as well. I think Nautilus probably should have gone for Grasp in this instance, simply because A, Aftershock's not going to get you that much damage. B, also, it was pretty heavily nerfed in that it went from a 20-second cooldown to a 35-second cooldown. So you're not going to be proccing that more than once in team fights. You might as well pick up a bunch of free health off the Grasp, because you're just going to be beating on that Maokai all day long.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree with you on that point, as we are getting onto the Rift, seeing all the interesting emoticon choices from both sides here, and we are actually going to see that new MF Ultimate, I use that term loosely, skin coming in from I Miss Dad here. Going to be interesting to see all the glorious changes to her visuals and everything else coming in down in that bot lane here. As would it be a cast that I do without another glorious pause coming in here?
We can talk for 45 minutes. We can talk for another 45. It's all right.
It's fine. I mean, we're professionals at this point, right?
Right, exactly.
So a couple things I want to bring up real quick is the couple of item choices and points coming in here is that we see the mini dematerializer coming in for Anchor on the Malzahar. We have the Hunter's Talisman coming in for Corinthian on the Sejuani, and then actually a Dorn Shield being picked up for Monkey on the Kaisa. You want to go into each of those a little bit for me?
Right. So Malzahar pretty typically takes the inspiration tree just because you want that cooldown on your flash, and there's really not any other beneficial keystone to take on Malzahar. So being able to switch between teleport, ignite, having that sort of lane pressure is fine. And you can also go into that minion dematerializer, which he kind of needs. Him and Ryze are two of the main mid laners that are way more reliant on that rune more than anything, more than other mid laners in terms of wave push. So if you can use those evenly, basically between your the cannon's not as important, but between the back line and the front line, you can get a nice push onto the Jace, as well as be able to keep up with side lanes, get a one rotation queue in the back line, allow your minions to do the rest, and it really helps you out in that regard. Sejuani, I think taking the Hunter's Talisman is pretty normal. In terms of being able to have that AoE clear, being able to sap light from a majority of targets in the jungle, definitely keeps you a little bit more healthy, at least healthier than the Hunter's Machete. And the Kaisa, I definitely agree with taking that as well in the end of the bot lane. I think they're all taking intelligent decisions when it comes to, at the very least, theory crafting this lane. It'll depend on how she plays out, the lane itself. But I'm more interested in her taking. I guess complete footwork is 100% necessary, but she's going to be taking a lot of abuse from these two poke champions in the bottom lane with just a Lulu to back her up.
Yeah, if Monkey can position properly and avoid a lot of that double up damage, that's going to be really the important thing coming in from Monkey in the spot lane is they do get the level 2 advantage early because they did get the lane a little bit faster, which is good coming in here from them as we're seeing fairly typical jungle pathing here. We have both junglers going with a full side clear on their blue buff before looking to the bot side of the map. Corinthian is running rather low, so may have to back as he doesn't have a smite up for about another 15 seconds. Looks like he is still going to go for that red buff here. Going to need to keep an eye on that here. As this is top lane. I don't really want to watch top lane this game. It's nothing interesting is going to happen there until junglers come up here.
Oh, you're not wrong. And yeah, the Sejuani is going to go a little low. It's questionable to try to do the full clear on Sejuani because of how low she goes, especially without that red buff regen. So it does give her quite a bit of help on those camps, and she's still going to go for her chickens even this low. But it's interesting to me that bot lane's actually Moonke's wasting all of her mana pool trying to push this wave into this misfortune. But I think it's the correct choice. Otherwise, you just take a ton of harass damage.
Yeah, if they can keep lane priority, that'll mitigate some of the damage, but they still do need to play carefully as misclicks on that twisted advantage, but Nate Rose was running into the issues. That really took Nautilus out of the meta, is that massive damage, is that huge, that brand damage, guys. Brand damage.
Yeah, and then that you can already see in the top lane how hard Nautilus is struggling in terms of keeping up with Maokai in the mana department. It's just that E when they increased his mana, got him these trades in the bot lane forever and ever.
Yeah, I would like to see Nate Rose look to shove this in back and come back with a Doran's Ring. That'll give him the necessary sustain that he needs to really stay up in this lane, because with just the Corrupting Pot, that's not going to quite be enough sustain. The other option he has is he can wait for a Catalyst and come back with Catalyst and look to go the early Abyssal Masters. We're going to see a 2v2 up in this top lane. Nate Rose is going to go in onto Mr. Pudding as once again I deal with quiet issues. Is going to get seed up by both Corinthian and Nate Rose, but is able to get out using the flash. Does trade flashes with Corinthian, so they do get a little back. Corinthian's is going to go in. Is need one more auto for the Permafrost. Is going to get a big chunk onto Elfire. Elfire trying to survive, almost got locked down by the staggering blow from Rose on, and that's another chunk of damage onto LaFell. However, Arrow's eating a lot of trade damage back for it, but the minions are going to do a lot of work in this trade as they are able to get out. This is just scrappy fighting across the map.
That's what we're talking about in this poke lane. It's absolutely ridiculous. Luckily, Elfire avoided that last auto from Nate Rose, but that's exactly what we're talking about here when we say that they have just this massive amount of CC. They can Nautilus auto, Nautilus hook, Permafrost, do any number of, like, Q slow, any number of things to keep you locked down, and you just can't return the damage. And granted, Elfire was a couple of seconds late. They executed very well on that to at the very least get the Maokai Splash.
Yes, and they did also get Elfire's Flash as well. So overall, it's a net win on flashes. They're going to see another chunk of damage coming in on that bot lane from the Blaze passive, as they're really starting to put a hurt on this bot lane. And there's really not going to be a lot of pressure that they're going to get from their jungler early on. I do want to briefly mention that we do have a Earth Drake this game, so no more Earth and Wind at this stage of the game here. And I do like that RNG is once again investing early wards up in their top half of the map, getting double control wards down there. But I don't think we'll have the same CS discrepancy that we did on the last game.
Oh, absolutely not. You got two tanks in the top lane. They don't have that much trouble. Maokai more than Nautilus has trouble farming under the towers, except when your wave's this big. But we do have the potential for the Earth, Wind, and Fire Drake, so I am looking forward to that.
That's a good band, by the way. Would recommend.
Not quite September. Still good Drakes, though.
Yes, but looking at these jungle pathing here, as we are going to see some more vision spotting coming out from RNG, once again putting out a lot of work with those early wards, keeping track and keeping themselves safe here. But with unlike in the last game, we already saw the first Drake going down, as we're not seeing any pressure quite down on that Drake. It's the blue buff's going over to Hellfire. I'm not a fan of that, especially because you don't really need it as Shyvana unless you're really wanting it for the XP. Oh, but we are going to have an engage. Stun does land onto Corinthian. It's going to eat a lot of damage from the Blaze passive. Is going to need one more auto to get that Permafrost. Actually, two more autos. Is going to get the Permafrost kill going over to Corinthian. However, he is going to trade back onto Arrow, who does pick up that blue buff. Is going to have a lot of damage available if he can get a range 4 spells. And we do have the Ignite coming across, but it does look like they are going to disengage here. So we're seeing more trading up in the top lane. Nothing is happening.
No need to jump up there. But yeah, that's a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. They pick up first blood on the Shyvana, but turns it back around with some great damage coming out of Doctor over the wall. So, and as you can see, this is at the very least in the mid lane. Anchor getting this push on with those minion dematerializers. He's actually only used one, surprisingly. I'm not sure why he's saving the majority of them, but
in my opinion, is you want to use I believe in the doing the 2x2, where you do two for melees, 2 for cannons, and 2 for range creeps. However, something we do need to mention though is that early trade we saw the blue buff actually end up onto Arrow.
Oh.
So that is not fun for that bot lane coming in here, and we are seeing the early lethality coming in from Doctor in the mid lane here. Going to be curious to see where he goes from there. I'm assuming it's going to be Yomu's first and where he goes from there. But we do see the early Tiamat being picked up for Hellfire. Again, not an item choice I'm a big fan of. But, I mean, what do I know? I'm not a jungle main.
Me neither, so I feel you on that. Oh, gosh, Arrow. That Kai'Sa burst damage.
Yeah, and Arrow missed his stun, so he had to immediately flash in order to get out there. They do have both their level 6s, though, and there is no level 6 on the other side, so this is a very scary point in the lane for Monkey and Lala.
No, absolutely, and that's kind of ludicrous. I haven't actually seen how much you can 100 to 0 one of the range supports from Kai'Sa, but that gets pretty disgusting, especially with just the BF sword. Luckily, she made it through the laning phase enough to pick up her BF sword, which I think puts her in a pretty good position, even though most Kai'Sa builds that I see are really more either predicated around like...
Oh, but so much damage. There's that level 6 combo I was talking about. I missed that, getting a kill with the bullet time onto Lala, as unfortunately fortunately for Monkey is going to get away, but unfortunately for Imistad is not able to get away here, as I do apologize once again. Spectator Client is fantastic as always here. It's a good play down in their bot lane. We do have Corinthian rotating down, trying to keep them safe. Is going to flash, miss the ultimate. Chilling Slide is going to come in. Flash ultimate coming in, but that's a lot of damage going to be coming in from the van. I missed that. Nice ultimate from Monkey's going to allow him to get back into range as Ankle secures his tail. Teleport coming in from Mr. Pudding. Don't know why he didn't cancel that, but Anchor's going to eat a lot of damage coming in here from Doctor. Doctor should be able to finish off the skill with the To the Skies. We have the roam down coming from Nate, trying to keep him alive. Looks like he is going to be able to keep him alive, as he is going to get CC'd up. No, he does secure the kill with the Shock Blast. Hellfire's returned with the Dragon's Ascent, trying to do damage. Arrow securing yet another kill, as it does look like in the end it was over the whole series of plays, a 3-for-1 for RNG.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely ludicrous. They're still going.
Yes, and this fight is still not over yet, as Mr. Pudding is going to go in onto Corinthian, is going to get that kill going over to Hellfire, getting a kill that should lead to that Earth Drake around the 11-minute mark. So not quite as early as you actually know they're going to disengage from it.
They're pretty low. I don't blame them.
I mean, you have your top laner there. You can take it with just those three and the brand. So I think they had enough damage to do it. Like, you don't need the Shyvana there in order to really do the Drake.
Right, right.
Because as long as your team secures the Drake, it's perfectly fine. Yes, I understand not having your smite there is not the greatest, but
the opponent's smite's dead. So I mean, there's really no argument as to why you're not going for that. They really would only worry about the Kai'Sa in that situation, but she was manaless. You had a huge wave in the bot lane. I definitely agree they could have taken that. They would have taken that no problem. But they get away with I mean, it's kill count of 5-2 with a 2,000 gold lead this quick, and so. get action in the bot lane.
Yes, so more damage coming in here. We have the blue buff onto Doctor. Doctor's very happy mid laner right now with that blue buff here. We have most of the Yomu's Blitzkrieg coming in onto Ibis. He's sitting in a pretty decent spot, but unlike last game, Monkey's actually doing a good job staying alive in the spot lane. Doctor is going to go in with a little bit of a trade. Don't know if I agree with him going comment, unless you're going to go all in on the poke build. Hellfire and Corinthian are trading the bot lane, while their other two tank players are trading up in the top lane. It's just tank warfare across the map here, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very high pressure action as the synergized ward in the bot lane. I approve of.
Yeah, classic Rampage. We're trying to make some analytical points here. They got to start a fight somewhere. You know, it's all right. It's all right. You know, keeps it interesting. They're finally taking a gander at this mountain Drake, though. But man, still trying to fight over vision over it. What were we trying to say about the? It looks like Kai's building into the Essence Reaver, which is more standard in terms of how she is a spellcasting AD carry. She's going to want to have something to keep her mana up with how much she does get mana starved. Not so much in the late game, but as a first item, it's never bad. A lot of pro players have been talking about.
LaFell face checking, going to get eviscerated off the map. However, it's going to survive for a little bit longer due to the Wild Wolf Hellfire trying to get in range for the Dragon's Descent, but LaFell...
She doesn't die. That's crazy.
Not by much.
Oh my gosh, just barely.
Arrow did not ignite there.
Oh, struggle.
If Arrow had ignited, that would have 100% been a kill.
Oh.
And that's kind of what you need to do, as Hellfire is flanking onto Acre. He's going to proc it with the passive, waiting to use that Dragon's Descent, but they're just going to apparently use it after the fact. It was a show of dominance, everyone. It was a show of dominance.
You got to send a message, and the message is that, you know, I'm going to jump and dragon teabag your body. You know, it was definitely was going full Halo right there. So it's all good, though. Yes. And then you can just see the strength of this poke lane in the bottom. And yeah, Hellfire just really doesn't care. It's all about pushing this lane, I guess. Nero's doing some pretty good trade damage. I guess I see why they
Smithy, guys! A nice ultimate should be able to get the disengage. We are going to have the Permafrost coming in onto Mr. Pudding, but there's literally no damage between those two tanks.
Yeah, that's
literally no damage. Both top laners do look like they are going for the Abyssal Mask, I'm assuming.
Definitely on the side of the Nautilus.
And it's actually a Duskblade Rush for Doctor, which I disagree with.
Yeah, you didn't read the patch notes. It's fine. It's Rampage. I barely read the patch notes.
What's a patch? We do that. We do that.
Even more perplexing, I don't agree with Malzahar going Luden's Echo first. Like, granted, while Luden's Echo helps a lot of mid laners with their wave clear, I don't. You only really get the proc off of your Q to make it spread between all the minions. I don't think that it's anywhere near as efficient as maybe even the Seraph's Embrace would be much better in terms of survivability.
Yeah, I think the Seraph's is a better item choice, but what do I know? I don't play the mid lane here, but going back to your point on Kaisa is, from what I've heard from the Flash Ultimate coming in from Anchor, we are going to have the Wombo combo from the brand coming in. Everyone is going to survive on the passive. Nice W over the wall from Monkey.
That was clean.
Yes, that was a very nice play from Anchor. He's 2 for 2 on Flash Ultimates getting kills so far.
Oh, right. No, that's very nice. I would love somebody to take this Drake sometime today. On the other, when CRC had their Shyvana, they were all about these.
TP is coming in, but does get stopped by the Anchor toss in the top lane. Anchor's going to fall on the backside here. Hellfire is going to secure the kill onto Lala, but is not going to be able to kill Monkey. As can Doctor escape here, as it does look like once again the Dragon is left wanting. The Dragon's happy because it's still alive, but both teams are left wanting because they both want the Drake. Corinthian's overstaying, though. Never mind, he's going to get out because Sejuani. Maybe. Possibly. Nope, never mind, I'm wrong. Don't listen to me, I'm boosted.
Oh, same. I wasn't expecting the Misfortune Flash, but I definitely think they could have easily gotten that with just the Jason Misfortunados. But, Misfortune's still going for a lethality build. It's a double lethality build, actually, and this... Just in terms of how much damage it's going to do to the tanks in the late game, like sustained damage, you know what I'm saying? is not going to be a whole lot.
You're telling me that build's actually going to do damage to tanks?
I mean, maybe if you're never, but you got the double BF sword coming in for Kai'Sa though.
I mean, I'm assuming get more BM. I'm assuming that's because she's wanting the immediate Q evolve. That's my assumption.
Right.
I'm assuming it's going to be Essence Reaver into Rapid Fire, into Runin's into Infinity Edge.
Right. It's definitely going to have to go more of an attack speed crit build based instead of.
Yes, we are going to have the ultimates coming in on both sides. Monkey is going to flash away from the bullet time, but is eating so much damage. This is why this bot lane combo is absolutely disgusting. Like, anytime the ultimates are available, it's a 99% chance of you losing almost all your health.
Yeah, anybody gets hit by the brand stun, immediately just misfortune ulti and you die. Like, it's a struggle. The only really counterplay they have is to if Kai'Sa hits one of her W's, I believe, can jump in, immediate Lulu ulti.
We do have Corinthian coming down here. Does have the ultimate available. Is actually going to land it this time onto Imistad. 1 for 3, but the brand stun is going to secure the disengage here. So unfortunately for Corinthian, goes 1 for 1 on ultis, but still does not get a kill.
Checking in across the map though, 9 to 5 in kills, just cresting the 18.5-minute mark.
Hellfire going. Yes, Hellfire going in on the mid lane onto Anchor. Does use the Chilling Smite to break the passive. Is going to get ulted under tower. However, nice use of the Dragon's Ascent to get the disengage off. We do see the Drake being started again, but Arrow's going to fall for his face check.
Is that a bait in the mid lane, I think?
Yes, it was a very good bait, and Yes, and in the top lane we saw another teleport get canceled. That's why you don't TP in front of tanks, everybody.
Yeah.
As still throughout this whole game, there is still no towers being taken down, and I think Hellfire, in all honesty, should just go down bot lane and force Monkey and Lala off the tower, so that way they can kill that bot tower, which is sitting at, I believe, currently 375 HP. Oh, yeah. 575 HP, excuse me.
Oh, I mean, it's still a stiff breeze away from falling over, and they could easily force them away with the threatening of a dive. Even with Sejuani's backup, I think that they still win the 3v3.
Anchor, yes, if Anchor does eventually secure that kill up into that top lane, I apologize for that brief technical difficulties, internet OP, as it is going to be another kill going over to the side of Crank here. Going to take a quick gander at item builds. Nothing outside of the lethality and the Iceborne Rush from Corinthian really super telling, in my opinion. In terms of build pass, I still disagree with the Titanic Hydra Rush, but I wrapped Strasatic on that last game. I don't need to talk about it anymore.
At least they agree with each other, so
yes,
that's something. But
yes, that counts for something. And hey, here's that dive I was talking about. Hellfire coming in, does not go in with the Dragon's Ascent quite yet. He showed himself a little too early, in my opinion. I think he needed to wait for that wave to really get the tower before showing himself, because now that they know he's there, they do have Anchor's TP available, so they could look to try to counter this dive. But there is going to be a damage going in onto Hellfire does show and just secures that tower. Anchor's going to get engaged on in the mid lane, is going to get the ultimate off, but is one auto away from death. Does flash, but the flash auto coming in on the other side does secure the kill. We do have first tower falling in the bot lane, but a trade tower coming in the bot lane. I don't think these tanks can kill this Maokai. I'm still waiting, and they're gonna chase him and keep chasing him. He's down to 200 HP, but they had to use everything to kill him.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Yeah, it's what it takes. They're both lumberjacks. There's no lumberjack sign. Oh, bot lane though.
Yeah, that's just Brandon MF things.
Right. Yeah, we can't even jump to them quick enough. So
Yeah, there was actually nothing on the screen. We just it was already a gray screen by the time we rotated over. However, in the mid lane, we did have the mid lane tier 1 falling. We have a TP coming in from Anchor to defend the tier 2. We do have they are saying top lane to try to get a tier 2, which I think is the right call because I don't think Hellfire can hold that by himself. So they trade 2 for 2 in towers, but they do get a tier 2, which I think is far more valuable than just trading 2 tier 1s.
Right, they definitely made the right call in that. I was questioning it as Sejuani was saying, but she had the red buff. She could get the tower down quick enough. It was just a really good macro call on the side of Dirt. Like, I mean, they need to start battling for Baron Vision.
Ooh, I think that's a little aggressive by Ice. Instead, having blow everything to disengage. However, Anchor is eating a bunch of damage from Dr. McLitty. Hellfire going in with the Dragons instead is going to help Doctor pick up that double kill. Doctor doing work on this, Jace.
That is 7-0-3 on Doctor. They better throw a ban towards this at some point in the next game, regardless of the outcome. This is absolutely disgusting. And we were talking about, like, you know, needing like the troubles of the lethality build when it comes to causing damage in the late game. It doesn't matter if we, you know,
don't get to late game.
Yeah,
well, and you're not hitting tanks. However, we are going to have the Pyro Castle coming in from the brand. Nate Rose is eating a lot of damage. Ultimate coming in onto Mr. Pudding. He's going to eat a lot of damage from that tower. Brand still have a lot of damage coming out of Arrow. Is able to get a kill on the backside with the Blaze passive. Even more damage coming in on the backside. Did see that early. The Andrews coming in from him, so doing a bunch of damage. But there's still so much damage on this team comp.
Jeez, that was absolutely disgusting. Oh my, Maokai just takes the turret for 6 years, you know, so nobody cares. But that was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of damage coming out of Doctor onto the Kaisa. Oh.
Well, everyone was doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Let's be perfectly honest here.
That's true. Brand's going straight AP. What else has he got to do? Absolutely nothing.
I mean, it's brand support. If you're not building straight AP, you're not doing it, right?
Right. Misfortune's deciding to go for the Infinity Edge, which I don't necessarily agree with, just because. I mean, I guess your autos will be critting for your passive autos.
I mean,
you're a lot more, but.
And I mean, it helps her double up, but the issue is she's not going to get that double up really ever in team fights. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And
double up damage if she like gets a kill with it onto someone, but
going the half and half build with Misfortune especially is just really, really damning because you don't have enough armor pen to get through any armor for tanks, and you also so your crits.
Oh, Nate Rose is a bit out of position. Is going to eat the stun coming in, engage coming in from Mr. Pudding. We are going to have the Lulu ult. They're trying to fight this, but there's no damage follow up onto Nate Rose as he's eating so much damage. Is going to end up falling to Mr. Pudding. Monkey is doing Doctor's job from last game, dying 1v1 in a side lane.
Oh, and I felt that one. That one was ridiculous. Was that a 3-shot? I think it was a 3-shot from Jace.
And we are going to have the Nethergrass coming in onto Mr. Pudding. Is going to end up falling. However, we do have Hellfire coming in. It's going to get locked up by the Polymorph, but there's just too much damage on this team, and they're too far behind the power spike curve being down 8,000 gold to really do anything, and that's Fail Flash number 2 of the series, guys.
Yeah, they don't care about this Infernal Drake that's down there that's been sitting there for the past 2.5 minutes. They just really care about killing the other team, and Jace 1v1 in Kai'Sa in the bot lane just gets to take down an inhibitor turret for free.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no reason. He's the highest level in the game at level 16.
Right.
Like, he is beyond out of control on this Jace.
He's got his Black Cleaver, so I mean, it doesn't even matter that. I mean, Nautilus still only has one armor item. Sejuani has a fake armor item because she went for the Iceborne Gauntlet, so she's not going to be tanky at all. I definitely disagree with that buy.
They're going to get top lane tier 2 here. Arrow's staying on really low HP. I disagree with that decision. I think he needs to back off and buy as everyone's sitting on 1,500 gold, other than Mista, who just came back from base. I think we might see a Drake attempt coming in from Dr. Corinthian is going to eat a little bit of damage coming in here. Is going to get engaged on by Hellfire, trying to just do what he can here. Is going to get the kill onto Arrow, but sacrifices his life for it with The kill going to Imistad. Redemption coming in, trying to buy themselves more time. Hellfire going in with the Dragon's Ascent. A lot of damage coming in from Imistad. Dan is going to get knocked up by the depth charge. So much damage coming in from both Hellfire and Nate Rose. Nate Rose, I'm sorry, you are just not quite tanky. Not quite tanky, but there comes Monkey.
Not here.
But here comes the damage coming in from Monkey, trying to back up his tanky top lane, trying to do damage to Mr. Pudding. Mr. Pudding getting so much damage. Coming in is going to get the double kill. Can they get the triple kill over to the Kaisa? They do. Oh no, bad guy support taking the triple kill, but that's much needed gold onto their AD carry.
Man, tunnel visioning so hard. CRC pulling their best RNG impression from last game. You know, it's about a 27-minute mark. You could back it up. You have plenty of like total Baron vision. You already got the inhibitor on the bot side. You just took a free Infernal Drake. Go spend your money. You know, I wish I would have looked at the gold before they went and wiped themselves like that, because I'm sure they had thousands in everybody's pockets.
I had briefly said before that start, everyone on their team aside from Mista had 1,500 gold plus in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of the gold. Granted, they were still up 7,000 gold. So necessarily whether or not they needed that part of the gold lead, they didn't have access to it in terms of items.
Yes, so, and I did call it right. It is going to be Essence Reaver into Hurricane into Infinity Edge for Kaisa, for Monkey on Kaisa. We are having a Essence Reaver third, so...
And what is Imistad's build? That's what I'm really confused about that.
I guess he wanted the Yomus for lane and then is going straight crit for trying to tank DPS, but...
Yeah, I don't think it's enough for your...
Ooh, Hook does land on the Doctor. He's going to get knocked up by the Depth Touch. He's going to immediately get eviscerated off the map, but that is a lot of ultimates down for 1 kill. TP coming in from Mr. Pudding. Can they continue the fight without Doctor? Hellfire is almost ready with Dragons. It says so much damage coming by Pyroclasm and Bullet Time. They do have enough damage. Hellfire going in with the Dragons. It says ultimate, Zanya's coming in onto Anchor. Not going to be enough to keep him alive. And that was a little bit too many ultimates for 1 kill.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. Talk about tunnel vision. That was great follow-up on the back end by CRC, but jeez.
Because they blew Nethergrass, they blew Death Charge, they blew Sejuani ultimate.
Yeah, they even had to, I mean, they saved Lulu ulti for when they got re-engaged on, but that was a great Maokai ulti coming in that held them within the most of Imistad's ultimates, so that allowed them to burn through.
Plus Pyroclasm hitting everyone.
Oh yeah, definitely. And an Arrow this game is pumping out the damage. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Can't wait to see RNG's like.
I disagree with the Rylai's, as I don't feel like the Rylai's is really necessitated into the team comp that he's going into. I would have.
It might be to make up for the lack of the frozen mallet on the Shyvana. So, but
I mean, nobody listens to me because apparently I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Shyvana builds. So,
I mean, I'm just talking in terms of trying to I guess they do have enough CC in terms of trying to retain it. But at this point, I mean, he can basically go whatever he wants, being 7, 3, and 8.
Yeah. I just personally would have preferred the Oblivion Orb for further snowballing.
Right.
To get
I don't
that.
see a lot of like mages actually take that. I think Rives is some of the only ones I've actually seen take that pretty regularly.
I pretty much always build it when I play brand support just because I love the flat damage. Hook does land onto Arrow, but Nate Rose is all by himself. We do have a lot of damage coming out. Pyroclasm is going to eviscerate the team following him for middle time. Flank coming in as the backline just disappears to the brand MF combo.
Was there a team there?
At one point
there.
At one point, there was a team there.
Oh my
gosh. I mean, Monkey wasn't also there, so it was technically a 4v4.
Yeah, this Kaisa has been farming in a side lane all game, and that's not who I thought should probably be there most of the time. Malzahar can push the side lane just fine. Might get collapsed on a little bit, but Kaisa really needs to be with their team being the majority of the damage on this. So they're definitely just going to take down both Nexus turrets and in this game real quick. Much faster game one.
Yes, a much faster game, a much cleaner game coming from RNG as they do tie the series at 1-1. We have a series. We got at least 2 more games to go through coming in here. So I want to say it's a very strong performance coming in from the side of RNG, as I have to say that's really all on the bot lane. They were able to set so much pace down in the bot lane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Hellfire also doing quite a bit of work. I mean, the assists across the board for both the top and the jungler, but You can't you can't discount Doctor either. I think all they were firing on all cylinders for RNG on this game, and definitely made a strong case as to why they are in the semifinal and could possibly take the championship.
Yes, they had great vision control throughout the entire game. They had snowballing carries, like their carries combined for almost all of their kills. They had like 9 kills on the Jace. They had 9 on the Brand. They had 9 on the MF. So that's 23 out of 31 kills. So that's very excellent kill concentration onto the carries, possibly even more than that. I'm just guessing off the top of my head as I have left the game screen. But that was a very, very strong performance coming in from the side of RNG. I do believe we are going to take a very, very short break before coming back to you with our pick and ban for game number 3 to see if RNG is going to continue the momentum or if CRC can take back the momentum and go up 2-1. everyone, to game number 3 here of our Risen Esports semifinals, with Crank taking on RNG. Series currently sitting at 1-1. We've got some very exciting games coming in across the board. Let's give everyone a quick recap on both those games here, Pierce.
Oh, for sure. Game 1 had RNG coming out strong out of the gates, and they kind of stalled out a little bit in the mid-game. Didn't take advantage of a lot of the vision control, and didn't really play to their team comp, which was more over a 4-1 with a really, really fed Trundle that could just push into a Maokai all day. They started taking pretty bad team fights, and the team fighting comp on the side of CRC ended up taking game 1 after a really long 15-minute fight, as well as into game 2, RNG kind of snapped back, put their money where their mouth was, pick the Jace, pick the Misfortune, pick early game, snowbally, ended the game, sub 30 minutes, put CRC in the dirt, basically.
Yeah, it was a very, very strong performance. They continued to keep their advantage going up on there in that early game snowball that they got onto Doctor in the mid lane, who was really showing what he can do when he has a pick that he can go into the side lane and do work on, and just doing so much damage on that Jace.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. He was able to solo out Kai'Sa multiple times trying to pick up farm in the side lane. Thus, Kai'Sa was never with her team. She was the main damage source, aside from their mid laner, who really didn't contribute a whole lot. When, like we said before, when the highest damage on your team is a Nautilus that's beating a Maokai all game, you're going to have to clean something up in terms of macro execution, be able to be vision control, because they were relying on a lot of picks for the side of CRC. They had their Sejuani ulti, they had their Malzahar ulti. Like, they were investing all of these into so many chasing single kills that when they got turned around, or when RNG got there, they had nothing left to fight with.
Yeah, it was just a very strong performance coming in. Obviously, we can't discount the amount of work that Arrow and iMissDad did in that bot lane, doing so much work in there, as we should be going through picks and bans here in just a few seconds. Yes, there it is. There it goes. We are seeing Zyra Lux and Zaya being taken off the table once again by RNG, and then Nasus branded Corki. I like the brand ban coming in, but Tarek does get through for RNG as they quickly pick that up. And then Kai'Sa and Maokai once again. First rotation Maokai in every game so far.
Right, and they leave the Tarek open this time, which it might be, especially with the team fight comp they just had, could be extremely questionable. They pick up the Shyvana as well. I think both Shyvanas, even though they have questionable build choices, have shown a lot of proficiency when it comes to diving on the face of the other team and totally eating their carries. So I agree with the pickup there. And for RNG's bans, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, they did still lose game 1, let's be honest.
True, but I don't think it was necessarily because, I guess, just stick to your guns then. I agree with you.
Oh, is this going to be the karma pick that I mentioned should have happened in game number 1?
With the Kai'Sa. Yeah.
And the Jinx getting picked up here. I do like the Jinx into the Kai'Sa, because the Jinx, while can't quite abuse the Kai'Sa as much as the Misfortune did, does provide them additional scaling. Tarek provides a lot of protection for the Jinx, and that Jace immediately getting a band away from Doctor. Not going to be allowed to have that champion 2 games in a row.
Absolutely not. And I don't know why they didn't take, if they wanted the Jace, I don't know why they didn't take that instead of the Jinx. They already have the Kai'Sa on the side of CRC. There's no threat of probably getting banned out. I can't imagine, especially because I assume Kai'Sa actually does have some form of dominant lane that into the Jinx she'd do just fine. So there'd be no reason to ban it away on the side of CRC.
As we are going to see Xerath and Sejuani being the next 2 bans coming in off the table, waiting for the last ban coming in here.
But if that many Sejuani ultis missed, they still banned the Sejuani. That's all right. She's already killed.
Yes, but the build, again, not the best decisions coming in here, as we're waiting on that last ban to come through. Going to be the Warwick again, so a lot of heavy pinch coming in onto the jungle. Is it going to be? It's Mr.
Thank you so much.
It
what
is
we were asking for early game. We're 1-1. We're 1-1 now, Brian. So.
Yes, it is the Mr. Yi coming in, going up against the Shyvana. I like the choice because Shyvana really can't ever duel the Master Yi.
Not only that, but Yi, Yi struggles with is hard CC. How much hard CC do you see in that comp that can actually stop the Yi? The answer is maybe a Jinx trap, and I suppose a Taric stun, but if he gets on top of you and starts snowballing, he can easily eat your lunch.
However, the thing is that you have a ball delivery system, a double-pronged ball delivery system, and if they can time the Cosmic Radiance from the Taric, they can completely negate the Yi.
Oh, absolutely. And so basically, CRC was like, hey, we're just going to come all in at you. And RNG was like, oh, we'll come at you harder. Here's a Malphite Orianna. So I don't necessarily agree with the Nautilus pick here. Maybe they're putting
it's Nautilus. It's everything on Kai'Sa and Yi.
Yeah, I was about to say it's all in on. I don't think the Kai'Sa is going to want to go all in with against their comp. You have a Taric, you have a Jinx. She's a short range AD carry that she would have to snowball really hard. So it's going to be all on Yi in terms of trying to get off the ground.
If you can somehow get Kai'Sa to the Jinx, Kai'Sa can assassinate that Jinx almost instantly.
Oh, absolutely, and Jinx has no way of getting away from it, which is the total struggle. And I'm try to go in this unbiased. Really want the Yi. Really want to see a Yi and see what the power can do on a Yi. But we'll see how this goes.
What I'm going to be curious to see, as I apologize for cutting you off once again, is what the build is going to end up being for Anchor's Karma. Is it going to be the support Karma, or is it going to be I'm going to mantra Q you in the face over and over and over again?
Right, and Karma's AP ratios really aren't that horrible. A lot of people say that if she falls off later in the game, but it's mostly because she just can't reach a lot of the carries and she gets put into harm's way because her Q doesn't have a very long range at all unless it's mantra'd up. And you want to save your mantra for things like your E, you know what I mean, getting you in where you want to go. She might be building the Shireliers this time. We'll see how the poke goes, but in terms of AP damage, there's nearly none at all. Which is going to be a big problem for CRC.
Especially when one team has a Malphite.
Yeah, that's exactly. Is that he not only gets the bonus off of building armor, but if it goes late, I see no problem with RNG just steamrolling the comp for CRC. But we'll see how this goes. I believe in CRC to be able to pull out some strings. They have pretty big pick potential when it comes to Malphite Nautilus. So if they can get off the ground with that and snowball it. We've seen them outlast, but we haven't actually seen a really good early game out of CRC, and that's really what they need with this comp.
Yeah, they have to get Kai'Sa online, get Yi online, and start roaming the map with Karma speed up to get everyone lane to lane to lane to try to take down everything as quickly as possible.
Right. I see them doing a quick bot lane dive, you know what I mean, or something like that to try to get this Jinx off the tower, because that's really this is going to be their only pressure point, right? Maokai Yi against Shyvana Malphite. I still give the win to Shyvana Malphite in that instance.
Especially when Malphite has an attack speed slow built into his kit.
Absolutely.
Hold up.
Oh.
Is it Malphite? Is it Nautilus mid?
That's what I was hoping it was. We were hoping for the anchor mid lane, you know, and that's what we're trying to do. Is that I would honestly say it's not a bad pick to put Nautilus mid here, just because of how much gank assist he does have.
I think I know what Anchor's going to do this game. Even if I'm wrong, I still think it would be great. He's going to go Banner of Command Rush because the only person who can really effectively deal with it is Jinx, because Shyvana's really never ever going to be in a lane to deal with it. Malphite's going to be able to do absolutely nothing to a Banner Minion. Orianna's going to do nothing to a Banner Minion. So it's all onto Dad to kill the Banner Minion. And by building
in harm's way to do that. I mean, he can't shoot it with rockets very effectively.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the build coming in, even if Magical Voice, the friend of mine who's a big fan of AP Nautilus mid, is going to be crying in a corner because it's not full AP Nautilus mid. But I think the Banner, the Command Rush into Abyssal Mask would be fantastic for Anchor this game in the mid lane.
And something that I actually do want to mention about CRC's comp that we didn't evaluate is that Kai'Sa has multiple build paths, right? So last game we did see her go attack damage AD, but she also has the even though it was nerfed, she can go for Rage Blade into Bork into sort of attack speed on hit builds, and those are also still like extremely effective on Kai'Sa. So I take back what I said earlier about being sort of pigeonholed into one sort of comp with CRC. They definitely have a little bit more room in terms of damage types, but in terms of like being able to avoid all of what RNG is bringing, which is a hell of a lot of heat, I still think they're kind of shit out.
They're behind the 8 ball, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And as long as they can get something done pre-level 6, within the side lanes at least, I don't think they have pushing lanes. Orianna doesn't get her wave clear until level 9 effectively, so Karma could have a little bit of priority in mid, but we already said, actually, it's a Nautilus. So Nautilus could probably push decently on Orianna, but it's going to be a pretty passive early game. I mean, we got a Shyvana jungle, we got a Master Yi jungle.
But at least Corinthian actually has late game set up this game.
True, and I think Orianna better take cleanse. Like
he's not. It's not going to be cleanse.
Struggle bus. Like while I normally agree with taking teleport on Orianna against a lot of mid laners, against this Nautilus Maokai, combo, you definitely need a cleanse. You need something.
I don't think cleanse would be enough though.
It's true, like, but it's enough laning. It's enough laning safety for you. You know what I mean? Because if Nautilus hits a hook at all in laning phase, you can pop out red buff. You're pretty much dead. You got to blow a flash at least.
Yeah, but there's again, I am of the opinion that Nautilus should never hook you in laning phase, especially in the mid lane. Top lane, it's a different story.
Right.
But
wider lane.
In mid lane, that should never happen here. As we are going through our spectator delay, want to see everyone popping out those hashtag CRC win, hashtag RNG win. We're going into game number 3. This is the make or break game of the series. Winner goes up 2-1, forces match point, and can seal the series in game number 4 here. Going to take a look at what we have coming at you guys, coming in for team compositions. For the red side, which is RNG this game, we have Mr. putting in the top lane on Malphite. We have Elfire bringing out the Shyvana once again. Doctor in the mid lane on Orianna. I Miss Dad on Jinx, and Arrow on Tarek.
Yeah, and you were on the blue side. We're going to be hitting the red side over on the side of CRC. The Nate Rose is going to be on Maokai in the top lane. You got Corinthian on Yi in the jungle. Praise. You got Anchor on his trademark Nautilus in the mid lane. We're still praying for the AP. We got Moonky on Kai'Sa again in the bot lane, and Lala on Karma as well supporting. So hopefully we can see both supports seem to be taking exhaust this game, so they're expecting it. Whee! I mean, with a Yi and with a Kai'Sa, I think exhaust is definitely warranted. You can't hit that turret ulti fast enough, can you?
I know, but like he's really the only real big threat because the Kai'Sa can't dodge your stun.
True. Not wrong about that one.
Like, I mean, yes, I know her ult's a jump, but like the issue is if she ults into you, you shouldn't be stunning when she has the ability to ult into you, because then you just stun her the second she ults in. But looking at these two team comps, I think we both agree we give the advantage to RNG top to bottom.
Easy.
Like,
so
they have
they have basic easy front to back. Like Ori's going to be safe behind these two frontliners. Is going to get all of her damage in every single time with two ball delivery characters, with two ball delivery champions like you mentioned before. Jinx is going to be able to shoot her rockets to her little heart's content, and as long as they can kill the Yi within the Tarek ulti, there's not much that can threaten Jinx if she can just burn through these front lines.
Sorry, I keep doing that. Yes, you do have point. Yes, I do understand they do have an Nautilus. They do have a Maokai, which is point and click CC. But the issue is if the damage can't come in during the durations of those point and click and CCs, it don't matter.
Right. You're not wrong. And we do need to give a little bit of credence to tank base damages. So Jinx does have to be a little bit more respectful, especially in the mid game. Like, let's say before you get any, like if Tarek might build Redemption, Tarek might build you a Knight's Vow, might build you a Locket or something of the sort in order to try to give Jinx a little bit more help. But in that mid game is when she's going to be the most vulnerable to what you're talking about, which is Flash Nautilus R, Flash Maokai, and just be unable to escape, so the base damages can eventually get the work done.
Why are you taking press the attack as Jinx? Why?
I agree with you there too. I don't think it's super horrible on Jinx. I do tend to favor Fleet Footwork on just about everybody, just because of how you have your exceptions, but on auto attack champions, just because of how much it helps you through laning phase. But she's looking to burn through Nautilus and Maokai. Press the attack's really not the worst idea if she expects this game to go live.
However, in my opinion, really only getting max out of press the attack on Jinx when you're in minigun, which very rarely in team fights are you actually in minigun form unless you're cleaning up the team fight. So at that point in the team fight, you don't really need press the attack. I feel like Fleet Footwork a much better opinion. And you were talking about the Taric build. As a Taric player myself, the build I go for, especially if I have a hyper carry, is first I upgrade my support end, and then I go into tier, into Ardent Sensor. I still build Ardent Sensor even despite all the nerfs, especially given you have a Shyvana and you have a Jinx on your team who love attack speed.
Yeah, and I mean, a sensor is never a bad idea on a Taric simply because you have the ability to give that entire AoE heal to your team, which procs the entirety of the sensor. There's not a lot of champions. Karma's another one, which we might expect to see a sensor out of. I think that we're both support mains in case you're just tuning in. And so on the side on my Taric side, I typically favor depending on where we're going, what the other team's damage if you're going to hit. I like to lock it a lot still, just because Taric has naturally high base health and it's predicated off base health. So a lot of I like to lock it on things like Taric and Kinch, but also Redemption can get you through a rock and a hard place if you can time your ult.
Yeah, it like. As I said, like, I just prefer the Ardent when I have a hyper carry. Like, if I don't have a hyper carry, I will most certainly go Aspect into Locket, into probably Night's Out generally as my third item.
Right.
However, something that we can't underestimate with the comp that RNG has drafted is the threat of a 20-minute Baron.
Oh, absolutely.
A 3-man 20-minute Baron between Taric, Jinx, and Shyvana.
Yeah, absolutely. That they can burn through that like nobody's business.
Especially with a first Drake Mountain.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know they're going to fight over this Drake because they've been doing it all. They've been doing it the entire game. Well, the entire series rather. Which the first game was more one-sided, but CRC was on the back foot the entirety of the game, collecting these Drakes as kind of an afterthought or a trade.
A consolation prize.
Exactly, to what's happening up in the top lane. So you got both of the junglers starting on their respective bot sides with their bot lanes. Definitely saves you enough health in the jungle. Lets you get a couple of those Targon procs off Taric to get your health back, so you can take a couple of extra trades. I like to think that I can optimize things when I play support, help out my jungler. You know, hey.
Yeah, get that extra little bit in you. And this is not going to be a fun lane for Anchor on the Nautilus. Is going to eat a lot of poke early on. Really needs to try to get towards what I assume is to be Banner of Command first. Still can theoretically go for the Abyssal Mask. I'm going to see a little bit of a trade attempt in the bot lane as a lot of damage goes down onto Imastad, went a little bit too deep onto Monkey. Monkey.
Trade
it is, right? It is, yeah. But with the Fleet Footwork on Kai'Sa, she's going to be able to sustain back up, and you don't have that same level of sustain on Imastad.
You got the Taric, which can give you a little bit, but not until you get like a second or third. Typically max.
And you need tiers.
Yeah, I was about to say, typically you gotta get 2 or 3 points into that queue before you start doing any sort of meaningful healing, which is going to be a struggle. They're definitely going to have the pressure down in the bot lane. Jinx taking, interestingly enough, the Kai'Sa took a door.
Ooh, we have a gank in the top lane. The Nayros is on the long side of the lane. A lot of damage going in onto him. Is going to flash. Corinthian has rotated here. Is still out of vision, waiting for Elfire to go in deep. Does not have red buff or any buffs for that matter, as he doesn't even have blue buff. Wait, what? As we're seeing a trade in the bot lane as well at the same time, I'm very confused right now as to what happened to said blue buff, unless it timed out and he based, as I am dealing with spectator issues once again. Yay, as we see first blood down in the bot lane during all my spectator issues.
Yeah, you might have a spectator bug. He still has his blue buff. He just had to make a beeline to the top lane once he saw from his red buff. Once he saw
I also had a minor spectator bug. Mister gets a solo kill up the top lane. A little bit too aggressive from Nate up there in the top lane. But it's just like I had a spectator bug where like the buffs and like the Bomby Cinder would be like offset under champions, like it'd be diagonally away from them for whatever reason. So I don't know. It feels bad, man.
Anchor going fishing in the mid lane though. I'm surprised that he went with the Doran's Ring as opposed to the Corrupting Potion, just because you basically want to, as a Nautilus with your mana issues, just go into lane, shove, use your entire mana pool, go back, fill up your Corrupting Potion again, teleport back in. Do the exact same thing over and over and over again, because this is the only time you're ever going to have lane pressure on an Orianna before she hits level 9 and is just able to one rotation clear the wave against you.
Yeah, but he does have mana flow ban, so that does give him a little bit of extra sustain. Might have also taken he can't have taken for some presence point, but is just trying to keep that lane priority. ECS is rather even. Bot lane is a little bit behind, unfortunately, but not doing too bad on the Jinx. Like Jinx, if you can stay relatively even on farm, it's considered a win in general for Jinx. It's really the XP that's important for her, especially with the changes to her minigun, which happened a couple patches back, but are still quite relevant.
Oh, absolutely, and as long as she can get to, she's really shooting for that BF, like not to be forced back before BF sword. So it feels a little bit worse if the Kai'Sa can get, which I think Kai'Sa giving the Doran's Ring is definitely going to be changing the build-up in this case. But it feels really bad to go up against any other sort of BF sword building AD carry when you just have pickaxe. So, especially on a Jinx when you're going to try to go for some wave clear secondary with your crit build.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see what the build's going to be coming out with the Jinx with the nerfs to Rapid Fire Shiv, which I still heard a lot of high elo ADCs did still really like that combo, despite the fact that everyone's run in Jinx, AoE crits, OP.
Right.
But the static Shiv Rapid Fire was so strong, so it's interesting to see if it's going to go back to the Hurricane second coming in on the Jinx after we see that. We do have Anchor going in aggressively in the main lane. Chocolate is going to go in onto him, but he's still a very tankly Nautilus. A fair bit of damage coming in from Elfire, who's, I believe he's going with the Tiamat Rush just like in the last game, which again, I disagree with, but what do I know? Again,
we can't voice our distaste enough. We know nothing,
yes.
But we still are allowed for some reason to give our opinions on it. So
yes,
here we are.
We just need to learn how to read in pieces. Anchor is going to place a control ward. Is walking over a ward. I don't know why. He doesn't actually have. He is going to go in with the depth charge. He's doing a lot of damage. We have a very late rotation from Doctor. But without that ultimate available, that really inhibits their ability to really set up a play to get Corinthian into a good spot, who's just been farming at this point.
No, for sure. And Corinthian is going, he's going for what we anticipated, which is going to be the Blood Razor, probably into a Rage Blade, but it is a pretty expensive build. So Rage Blade is not a very cheap item, especially with the a few cost increases coming from the last patch. And you were talking about the static Shiv, rapid fire nerfs that went through. They actually were a couple of changes on this past patch with static Shiv being nerfed pretty heavily. It no longer does additional magic damage to minions, or it no longer does full damage to minions, like bonus damage to minions rather. It's only regular. It can still crit, however, but with rapid fire cannon, it got buffed and is now like in sole possession of doing in the top spot for single target damage.
Yeah, so we're probably going to see the Hurricane coming in for Imus Dad here, who's still down a fair bit of CS, but not doing too bad here. It does look like it is actually going to be the Abyssal Mask in the mid lane for Anchor, which is a bit disappointing because I really wanted to see the Banner of Command. I think that's the optimal build choice in this scenario for him, but again, what do I know? I don't even get paid.
I 100% endorse what you got going on here, Primus, because I was like, dude, totally right. Looking at these comps, throw a Baron command down, and then we just get to pan to Malphite every now and again, just trying to punch this thing down. That's always great.
Tank Yard Wars.
Yep. Noodles. Rock against a tree.
Ooh, we have the hook landing onto Doctor, staying a little bit too far forward, eating the full depth charge. Just going to do a fair chunk of damage. We have depth charge back available. However, we do have an engage. However, Nate misses the Twisted Advantage. Ultimate is going to come in. However, Corinthian does immediately take tower. They are probably going to just try to back that. Why did they not back that off? That's way too aggressive.
So aggressive, and that's all Malphite's gonna do. Is just you go under tower, you try to dive the Malphite, he's just gonna argue. And when you waste your Q as a gap closer on the top lane, it doesn't give you any way to dodge.
I mean, if Nate had not fluffed the Twisted Advance as execute is not gonna quiet man, as I'm pretty sure Nate's life flashed before his eyes right there. But anyway, as I was saying, is that as Hook does miss again, is that once the Twisted Advance got flubbed, you should have immediately backed off the gank.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, once it's down, you have no business going underneath the tower against a Malphite when he has a Bomb Sender. Even though he doesn't have any.
No, as long as he has ult available, as ultimate is going to come in, as Anchor's trying to go for the 1v1, is going to get a lot of damage. He does still have hook available. Does he have enough mana for it? No, he does not.
This is what we're talking. Oh,
but he does eventually. Shockwave is going to come in. However, one more auto gets the blow. Is going to flash for it. Gets the 1v1 in the mid lane.
The Nautilus solo kill coming through. This is what we're talking about when we say. Taking a big trades in the bot lane as well, but this is what we're talking about with these tank base damages. Like, you can't disrespect them. They can just Arya, hop on you, take your entire health bar out, and then flash on you when you disrespect them, run out of the way, get hit by that hook. Oh.
Also, we should mention that it is now a 30 CS advantage in the bot lane.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's especially telling because Imistad has not been able to back while Monkey was able to get his BF sword. And that's really the telling factor in the story. We really need a Hellfire to rotate down to the spot lane just to buy them some time to get a decent back in.
No, absolutely. And it was moreover Imistad being greedy and wanting to get that extra wave in while Monkey took their back, so because of that, they don't end up getting a very good back time. They're going to lose a lot of turret damage on this next wave. It looks like or just the dragon.
Yes, Corinthian is going to start. It should be able to do it relatively easily. It might get spotted out. We do have Doctor rotating order is going to spot it out. We do have Dragon's Ascent available, and they do have health vision on it. But Corinthian's force extremely low. However, Dragon aggro does swap. TP is coming in. Hellfire is going to go, and Snipe coming in. They are going to get the Drake afterward as... No! It gets stolen! It gets stolen by the Karma Q. Anchor coming in on the backside, trying to get another kill on the Doctor. Hellfire trying to body block as much as he can, eating a lot of damage, but Doctor's going to get ulted. Shield, enough damage to keep him alive. Can he be able to get out? While on the other side of the map, Mr. Pudding's all by himself as Anchor finally secures the kill. Red buff is onto the Jinx. Cosmic Radiance is going to come in. They're going to try to dive it, but without any CC coming in, they're just overstaying their bounds. Twisted Advance coming in. Imistad ended up taking tower, has to back off. Arrow ends up retaking turret aggro. Stun does miss on the backside.
That was a crazy fight. Oh my gosh, they went way too deep on the side of CRC, or on the side of RNG rather, trying to dive that tower. Y'all are not strong. Jinx just has one BF sword. Orianna doesn't even have one completed item. So I mean, granted, props to Anchor for just 1v1 in this Orianna all day long. Yeah, I mean, chasing her into her goal, being able to get that kill and get out spot free, and then going to take first tower in the bot lane.
Yes, and that solo gold, while it is onto the tank, while not ideal, they are going to look to try to take away the red buff as well. Plus, Lala stole the Drake despite all that. So, in the end, a massive win over for RNG, CRC, who are actually having a surprisingly good early game.
Yeah, absolutely. They're up 1.6 thousand gold, kills are even, got the Drake, and it was kind of a snipe for snipe where Jinx hit Yi, got that kill from downtown, and then Karma steals the Drake directly after. That was highlight reel worthy right there.
Yes, we do have the engage by Nate Rose onto Imistad, but there's no damage available. Imistad does still have that red buff available. Don't know what precisely he was thinking there.
I mean, you gotta try. Sending messages all day. That's what we're about here, Rampage.
He tried so hard, but he did not get very far, as the root is going to come on Mr. Pudding. Hook does land onto Arrow, does not have Cosmic Radiance available. Huge ultimate coming in from Mr. Pudding, but there's no damage follow-up. Ultimate flashed away from double kill over to Anchor. Imistad solo is going to die to the last auto attack as Hellfire gets left all by himself, and this game is going drastically against RNG.
Yeah, 5-0-1 on this Nautilus. He just doesn't care. Malphite ulti doesn't care. So much magic damage on the side that this Abyssal Mask is doing so much work for Anchor. I was about to say, he's getting so much CC, so much free time because all the trees are basically playing melee form. Imistad is staying in range enough to get soloed out by Monkey, and Doctor gets caught by the Anchor ulti. So it just one and done, basically. Tarek also thinks he's tanky or something, walks up, gets the kill for free. He is going the tier build that you mentioned now.
Yes, which means he has very, very little HP.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You're just a heal bot at that point, right?
Yes, and I honestly think that Anchor's far enough ahead that he can still go the Banner of Command. Hellfire should be dying. Last auto coming in from Lala with the Aerie does secure the kill. And they just have complete control of the map at this point. I think that hook was a bit optimistic, as Mr. Pudding is still really tanky on this Malphite.
What's It's just the Nautilus mid going off in this game. They also picked up the Rift Herald.
Ooh, we do have an engaged. Huge ultimate coming on the backside. Mr. Pudding going in. Cosmic Radiance is going to buy so much time. However, no DPS is here. We do have the Jinx ultimate coming in across the map. It's not going to secure any kill. Does land on the Lala, but they don't get anything for that Tarek ultimate because there was no DPS follow-up. Doctor wasn't there. We have Imistad once. We do have Imistad once again in the side lane. We have TP being burned by Anchor, and I like Imistad that respects that immediately and backs all the way off.
Right. They did pick up the Rift Herald while we were out watching that fight. So at the very least, Corinthian's not having the best game on the Yi with 0% KP, but he at the very least has Rift Herald, is getting his items in. Definitely looks like he's still going for the Rage Blade build, so hopefully he ends up coming online sooner than later. He's farming a hell of a lot better than Shivani is, that's for sure, and is up a full level in the jungle.
And we do see that Shirelias that you mentioned going on to the Karma really make sure his team has got to go fast right now. I still think that it is very much a snowball item, which in this scenario I think is perfectly fine to go. But it is definitely a snowball item that I would only suggest when you do have an advantage like they do in this game coming in for Crank. And once again, we see the double BFs coming in from Kaisa, but she's sitting much prettier, up 20 CS, sitting at 2-0 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. She's already up a full 1,500 gold on the Jinx, which is pretty significant for only 17 minutes into the game. So what I want to point out is above her build is you got that Haunting guy sitting there on Anchor.
Well, he's going to be sitting in these team fights for a long time, so Haunting guys is going to do a lot of work for him. But again, I still think that the Banner of Command should have come in. I should probably stop talking about it, but
no, I mean we can wish, we can hope and pray that that we get a Banner. They might eventually get there, but I think he's trying to translate his advantage way further into the team fights. Unfortunately, Nautilus doesn't have the best AP ratios, but I think that if they're trying to end this game relatively quickly, which it definitely looks like, then they could get some work done, especially with how Shyvana doesn't even have her jungle item completed, so she is paper thin.
I mean, this is why I'm not a fan of the Tiamat Rush. He's even giving over his red buff over to Imestad, who did go the Ruined's Hurricane. There should be a Drake secured by Crank here in just a moment, especially with Imestad once again rotating down to the side lane to get the wave. I'm not even going to attempt to steal. I think that's the right call coming in from RNG.
It's definitely
Who
one.
honestly just needs to buy as much time as possible and try to get to 3 items as soon as they can.
Oh, absolutely.
Their comp at 3 items.
They are, but they're in crisis mode right now. Granted, they're down 5,000 gold, which is a lot of gold. Granted, most of it is going to be on the Nautilus and the Kaisa, but they can't, like, Jinx is down 40 CS. She's down a full kill, 4 assists. I mean, as soon as these items start rolling in for Monkey, I don't think Jinx is going to stand much of a chance because she just doesn't have the peel necessary. The Taric also starts up on the Aegis, but I think it's too late in terms of how much flat damage Kaisa already has to just be able to tear right through him with that tier build.
I mean, I still think the tier build is fine, but the issue is that I still think that once you get tier, you have to immediately complete your flash switch advance coming in onto Doctor, excuse me, as the Taric ultimate does not come in time as Rift Herald's getting dropped in the mid lane. I think that's eventually going to go to as ultimate is going to come in from Hellfire. Does not have enough damage. Malphite ultimate is going to come in to disengage. We are going to have the charge come in. Should get it down extremely low. Is going to secure that mid lane tier 2. And we do have an ultimate trying to come in from Mr. Putty, trying to buy some additional time, but he immediately has to flash out. And they are able to stop the bleeding from the Rift Herald at just 1 tower, but this could honestly be a Baron, but Kai'Sa's going bot lane for whatever reason.
This is, once again, Kaisa in a side lane. This isn't the game that y'all want to be playing. You have no damage on the Yi. You have a very low health Karma. Kaisa is the majority of your damage in trying to take this Baron down with any sort of semblance of speed.
I mean, they have the front line to tank it forever at least, so there's that. True. So they should be able to freely finish this off here in just a few moments.
RNG to not face checking too.
Yep. So there was a 20-minute Baron, just not for the team I. No, it wasn't for the. It just wasn't for the team I said. Corinthian is going to get slowed by the zap. However,
Quick flash.
The sun already being down, it does mean that he is going to get away, and it's a 8,000 gold lead at 21 minutes. You have an Earth Drake and a Fire Drake on a team with a Master Yi.
Gosh, yeah, and the Yi just finished his Rage Blade, so just starting to come online. Kaisa doesn't need to be going to the side lane to pick up this farm. The Yi is what's going to need it, especially if y'all can't close this game out. Granted, they just got a free Baron. They scared RNG enough to not try to come and face check them and giving them away. But the side lanes are the tier 2s on the side lanes are ridiculously hard to take, and their siege is not very good with such short, like literally everybody is melee except for a short range Kaisa and a Karma to be able to take these towers. This is where your banner of command definitely should be coming in.
I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about, people. Please, just ignore me. I'm just a unpaid caster. It's fine.
Just in terms of sieging, you know, like they definitely can protect their banner minion at the very least, but they need some way to break this base effectively. And what they're doing, unless they overextend and try to stand at this tower and dive them, I don't really see a way of them doing that.
I don't think they have enough armor to effectively dive at this point because you have health and magic resist onto the Nautilus. Yes, the Nautilus is split pushing. You have just a Sunfire cape onto your Maokai. Like, I don't think it's the optimal choice here. I mean, they are going to eventually be able to whittle down this tower with the amount of poke coming in from Monkey and Lala just being able to kite in and out of tower range doing damage as a cannon tower minion. Get stopped 1 short. We are going to have the knockback coming in onto L. Nice shockwave is going to pull Nate Rose onto tower. They're trying to finish off the tower before Nate Rose dies. Is able to survive with so little health. Nice shield coming in on the backside. There's so much damage coming in from Monkey on this Kaisa, just completely 1v5ing that team fight almost. Ending up getting a triple kill on the Kaisa. And there was a 1v1 on the top side of the map at the same time, so it was a cross-map ace coming in for Crank, as it does look like Crank should be looking to close this game out here in the next few minutes. I don't believe they can finish it right now.
Yeah, probably not. They'd be safer to try to get out of there. They still have the Baron buff, though, so I mean, you never know. You got Kai'Sa coming through. They're going to be cutting it close because respawn timers start up in 3 seconds.
And
already up.
yes, and Pudding does have the unstoppable force available. They're trying to zone it off, though I do agree that this is the much safer call. We're going to have them look to try to get double inhibs. I think they should have just, no, they're not even going to be able to get double inhibs. They're just going to get double towers, but still a very effective push, a very nice play coming out them in the bot half of the map.
Yeah, they just, I mean, when 15,000 gold, you really don't. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you get the second inhib or not. You got a second Mountain Drake coming up here in 43 seconds as well. It doesn't look like there's any stopping CRC at this point.
There's just not enough damage yet.
Right, absolutely. Not only is there not enough damage yet, there's tons and tons of damage on the side of CRC. Even if the Yi didn't come online, it didn't even matter, just because Maokai picked up that banner you were talking about, just used it. So
I just want to say that that Kai'Sa went from having a Zeal and BF to an Infinity Edge and a Ruinous Hurricane.
Oh yeah, spinning the big bucks.
She just had a little gold there, but we do eventually see the banner coming in, not under the champion that I wanted to have it on. It does look like we having Corinthian probably going for a Blade of the Rune King third here, given that he has another recurve bow. I don't know why he's just not just fighting this. Like, he has a Rage Blade. Like, Pudding's just gonna melt here. He's gonna get a fair bit of damage off, but is gonna flash out. But that is the ultimate down, so it's possible but they don't have the ultimate coming in from the Malphite. Malphite had nice shockwave on the backside, but there's no damage follow-up. We're gonna have the ultimate coming in from Monkey, going in onto Arrow and onto Mystic. Cosmic Radiance coming in, trying to buy as much time as they can, as it is going to be the falling of that second inhibitor. Most certainly the third inhibitor here in just a moment for Crank, despite the Baron buff up so much gold. That is way too far forward, Doctor. You're going to get blown off the face of the map. Dive coming in from Corinthian. I missed that, trying to climb it out, but is just going to eventually die to last auto. Q reset coming in. Can he get the kill? No, he cannot. Hellfire's going to be able to survive power. Monkey flashing forward, trying to secure the kill, is not able to do so, as this game got even faster than the last one, as Crank finishes off game number 3, taking a 2-1 lead in just under 26 minutes.
We got a faster game, and the game's getting progressively faster here, Primus. I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
Are we going to get to like a 15-minute game for game 5? That's how I'm kind of feeling right now. But CRC kind of heard us talking smack, and we're like, oh, you thought RNG could snowball a lead really fast. Well, let me show you what. And turn around 7-0-1 on the Nautilus, 5-0-7 on the Kai'Sa. Like, this is just no deaths all side on the bottom half of the map. Like, this is absolutely crazy. The only plays that were a little bit shoddy were Corinthian getting caught out a couple of times. But even then, I mean, they really just 4v5'd the entirety of the enemy team. Didn't let him scale at all.
There is a reason why his name is Anchor in the mid lane, ladies and gentlemen. He is very, very powerful and strong on that Nautilus pick, but I think if Doctor played that lane a little bit smarter, it would have gone a lot better for him. In that mid lane, however, not to take anything away from Arrow, he played, from Anchor in the mid lane, he played extremely well. But I feel like there were still some mistakes coming in on the side of RNG, which really allowed the game to snowball against them.
First mistake, still not taking cleanse. Like, I will advocate, if you get hit by that hook and multiple, especially the 1v1s, right, where you get hit by those hooks and they happen, especially if it's a talented Nautilus player, you just got to respect it enough to take the cleanse, because where did the Oriana teleport come in, right? Where did it get you in terms of, like, either lane pressure, getting up on CS, those types of things? I don't think I
ever saw him use teleport.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to harp on that as hard as we harped on the banner or on the Tia map, but it definitely, with as much heavy CC, and especially like hard engaged like flash CC that they had with all those base damages, there's just no other option for you to take anything else, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it was a strong performance coming in from them. We are going to take a short break before game number 4, where we will see the underdogs, Team Crank, look to qualify for the finals, or whether or not RNG can take game 4 and force a deciding game number 5. And welcome back, everyone, to game number 4 here at the Risen Esports semifinals. I am once again, to remind everyone, I am your play-by-play caster for this series and for most of this evening. Primus alongside Pierce here as my color. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, we're getting there. I was about to say we got two games up. CRC over RNG. CRC are the underdogs here, so they've actually taken a game up on RNG. So we'll see if RNG can pull it back for a game 5 for us. But RNG's early game's been looking good, except for that last game where it was definitely shoddy, missed execution on a number of picks, and I don't think that they want to go for the scaling route. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to play to their strengths, which is the early game, which is the early vision control to be able to take these early objectives and whatnot. So
it was a lot of very strong performances coming in from the side of crank in that last game. However, something we do have to mention here is that Red Side has won each of the 3 games so far in the series. And with RNG being on Red Side this game, you have to think that gives them a slight advantage coming into this game.
Right, we are 3-0 for Red Side, which I'm not sure what that means because the drafting hasn't been immaculate on either side in terms of where they're taking their picks. Like for instance, in the last game, they should have taken that Jace for some early game dominance like they had in game 2, where instead they took the Jinx, allowed a lot of the 2 more mid laners to get banned out, throwing Doctor on Orianna where he looked very, very underwhelming.
Yeah, it was a little bit left of something to be desired. I think taking the Taric is fine, but Taric doesn't actually have a very good laning phase. You really need to, in order for him to have a very strong laning phase, you need to pair him with an aggressive laning ADC, and that's really not what Jinx is. And by going with that, you allowed them to pick up the Kai'Sa Karma and just completely control the pace of that lane, especially considering they got first blood.
Yeah, they better be they definitely better be banning out this Kai'Sa or having some type of answer to it that's not the Jinx in this game, because they did put it down pretty hard with that poke bot lane because she's such low range. But I mean, you can't take a Jinx into that. She'll abuse you every day of the week. I think she's just a better Lucian, to be honest. Or like a Lucian Jinx combo because of all that really quick damage, but with the mobility of the Lucian.
Yeah, it's just they're not quite getting on the table as we go. Bans are coming fast and furious. We're going to see the Nasus and Brand once again coming through, and the Lux Nautilus Anchor really taking a hit to his champion pool. Going to look to see where he goes through. I can't remember what he played game 2. I'm brain farting on that.
To say, I just want to see this Mr. Pudding Nasus that's first banned by CRC every time. Like that's
I don't think we're gonna see it, as we have a couple things on the table, as Maokai is gonna get first picked here, but it does leave the Kai'Sa open, as well as the Shyvana, which has been picked in every game this series. And like, I know the Shyvana hasn't had the best of impacts or the best build choices, but given the priority it's had, as they are going to pick up that early misfortune, is that going to force them? Oh, and the Zyra actually got through. That's the first time that Zyra's gotten through. That's a classic bot lane down there.
You gotta take that brand out. You got to give up something, and it's going to be the Zyra, especially on the red side where you get 2 power picks first rotation. And so I'm excited to see what Era can do on this Zyra, just because it's hit the ban list every time.
Yes, it has been a perma ban against him, as we are going to see the Shyvana and Kai'Sa once again coming in. I don't know about taking the Kai'Sa into this lane. Like, we saw what happened the last time Kai'Sa got picked into this lane, and we are going to see the Warwick come through, which has also hit the ban list every time in ban phase number 2 throughout the series.
Right, and Warwick's not necessarily the biggest proponent of it, but there was also a nerf back in 8.5 where they nerfed Warmogs pretty hard in terms of not allowing you to build Cinderhulk into Warmogs. They upped the health cap on it, so you can't build it first item directly after Cinderhulk anymore. They dropped the percentage health on Cinderhulk and raised the cap on Warmogs to get that passive. So a lot of junglers like Sejuani that we were seeing earlier, et cetera, can't really benefit. Warwick used to build like that a little bit, but now he's not going to go straight health. He's definitely going to probably try to go more in either the damage route or just straight tank to try to hold grip onto this Kai'Sa.
And we're going to see Orianna, Lulu, Jace, and Xerath coming off the table. A lot of mid lane and support bans coming in here. Going to be curious to see where they go on that bot lane. In my opinion, they either need to go either with an all-in support to try to kill the Zyra, or they need to pick some sort of backline healing support to try to keep this Kai'Sa, allow her to get through the landing phases. It's going to be the Undertaker in the top lane. Another split pusher coming in from RNG, but can they execute around it?
Another thing that hit the ban list as well for the last 2 games. So hopefully they can. I would have preferred them take them, unless they're scared that the York's going to be picked up, which they shouldn't because you have the Maokai. But I would have preferred them to. I guess they are taking the mid lane. Just kidding. I need to learn how to read. But in terms of them picking up the Taric again, they definitely have a great team comp for it this time around.
But the issue is, again, is they have a very weak bot lane 2v2, and they're just going to get poked and shoved in 24/7 in that bot lane. I think they need to pick a very strong 1v1 mid laner here for Anchor to try to compensate for that, because you're going to have a losing both side lanes right now coming in for Crank, and they pick a Vigar.
Ooh, that's interesting. But I would have much rather seen something that can make a much bigger impact on the map, like Galio, like we've been talking about. I'm not sure as to what Anchor's the totality of Anchor's champion pool. He plays quite a few different champions, but just something that can give a little bit more support to your side lanes rather than just looking to one. I guess you can look to one shot the Misfortune in Zyra late game. That's totally a viable strategy. Flash Vigor. So,
I mean, you only get to kill one of them, and they do lock in the Rise for the last champion. Poor RNG. So, looking at these two team compositions, I think we're seeing reoccurring themes in terms of flaws in terms of team composition drafting coming in here.
Right, and RNG's team comp, they're just going full solo queue on this thing. They're like, they're going very strong, like super strong lanes. Warwick is an invading jungler who can invade on Shyvana. Like they're going to be looking to shove in 24/7, get early engages, basically just pick up early objectives and whatever they can get. Warwick's really good at taking dragons pretty early, so they deny them away from the Shyvana. So they have that on their side, as well as with the lack of vision going on. I think Warwick's ganks have become more potent in terms of with that blood scent, being able to surprise enemy laners.
Yeah, and the fact that it does give a little bit of vision if the enemy jungler does go low in their own jungle. You can kind of get a general idea of where they're at through the power of that blood scent here. And I just feel like Crank is doubling down so much on this late game that they're pretty much sacrificing their early game potential. Mm-hmm. And it's not like RNG is drafting comps that suck in the late game.
Yeah, absolutely not. They definitely scaled, but the problem I have with RNG in their draft is they're drafting for lane, which is fine. They've had a good early game most games, but they drafted a 4-1 comp, right? You're drafting around a Yorick, and you're drafting around a core 4 of or a 1-3-1 if you want to throw a Rise in the side lane. You have that option, but they were not able to execute the 4-1 comp effectively in game 1. That's why they lost it to begin with.
But they weren't blue side, so obviously that was the issue.
Right. So, yeah, sorry about that. I totally forgot that fact that blue side and 4-1 just do not go hand in hand. But in terms of having a lot of, in terms of just raw damage, it's hard to say on either side, because Shyvana, obviously, 4th game in a row we've seen her. She's going to go damage. Kai'Sa still does ludicrous amounts of damage as long as she can get off the ground. I'm still waiting to see a Rage Blade Kai'Sa or some type of on-hit attack speed Kai'Sa, because in my opinion, that is the stronger of the two builds. I don't think that going like attack damage, like just straight damage into Essence Reaver is actually like comparatively as strong when you look at the map as like a Rage Blade into Bork build, especially when you're going into a Yorick or Warwick, somewhere where you're gonna have to kite around a little bit. So we'll see.
You're thinking like Bork, Nashor's Rage Blade.
Yeah, I definitely would start with the Nashor's probably into because Rage Blade. So the major changes that happened on this patch to Rage Blade, if y'all aren't aware of the mid patch that dropped a couple of days ago, is that Rage Blade had most of its base stats transferred over to the stacking element of the item. So you have to basically at 0 stacks, I think you pay 3,000 gold for the item now, but you only get about 2,500 worth of stat efficiency at 0 stacks. But it still stacks all the way up. When you hit 6 stacks, you're still up to about 150% of gold, like 35 or 3750 if I'm doing my math right. Up in terms of active stats. So I still don't think it's like a super huge nerf, but I think that Kai'Sa does get more power overall if she can keep those 6 stacks up. So especially with a Taric, I think she's going to be doing just fine if she cannot just get destroyed by this poke lane. So it might not be the best idea because the biggest part of the Rage Blade nerf was the AP that was taken off of the item. So that really doesn't hurt Kai'Sa in the slightest. But if she can just get over the hump, she might want to go more of the 80 build again just for wave clear sake against this bot line.
I mean, I feel like no matter what build Monkey decides to go for on the Kai'Sa, it's just she's not going to get through laning phase. She's going to be poked out 24/7. We saw how good Dad was on this Misfortune. We saw how good Arrow was on melee, on mage supports. And I think Anchor should be taking Cleanse here, given that Rise's point and click CC. But
right. I definitely Vigar typically goes Spellbook. So at the very least, I would go Spellbook on Vigar. So if unless he's going to decide to take something like Airy or Comet, which I don't think are very reliable, especially given how difficult it can be to hit some of your abilities on Vigar without it being very reliable, you don't get as much damage out of it, whereas you would maybe a teleport that you could switch out later or something of the like.
Yeah, it's a little bit suspect, but again, neither of us are mid laners, so we have no idea what we're talking about here.
Right.
However, as I said, and as you said earlier, it is 2-1 in favor of Crank. We're going to see if they break the curse on this blue side, which is currently 0-3 in the series, or whether or not RNG is going to continue the red side dominance and push this to a crucial Game 5 to qualify for our Risen Esports Finals. Let us introduce our teams once again. On the blue side, we have the Nate Rose once again picking up the Maokai, Corinthian once again on the Shyvana, Anchor picking up the Vigar in the mid lane. We have Monkey on Kai'Sa and Lala on Taric.
And on the red side, you got Mr. Pudding picking up the Yorick this game. Pretty excited to see if he can get a better split push going than Trundle. You got Elfire on Warwick in the jungle. You got Doctor on Rise in the mid lane. I Miss Dad picking up the Misfortune again in the bot lane. And Arrow on a Zyra this time, constantly banned against him. Pretty excited to see what's going to be going on. They did on the side of Crank, their bot lane, interestingly enough, I know y'all can't see it yet, but they're taking a barrier heal, like back in the Arden days on their summoners.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that's about, because I feel like you're really just saying we're not going to do anything in lane. That's
right.
Essentially what those summoners are telling me, which is perfectly fine, because they're really not going to do anything in this lane anyway. So just completely sacking that lane to try to survive, I think, is perfectly understandable. But I think Corinthian's really going to have a hard time on the Shyvana, given that all of his lanes are going to get pushed in.
Yeah, not only that, you're never going to be safe to invade. You're never going to be safe to put down vision. You're going to have this Yorick, who's just basically going to be probably taking grass, going to be beating on this tree forever and ever and ever with a shovel, and eventually getting to the point where he can just ignore the Maokai and take towers. That's when Yorick was in the meta to begin with and was basically permabanned, was that he could just take towers and not actually care.
I mean, he still doesn't really care, but...
But I mean, there's nobody who can stop him other than, once again, the Shyvana in the side lane, assuming she picks up enough, as good enough of an early game to be able to match him 1v1. I still would give it to Yorick.
If Corinthian goes Red Smite, I think he has a chance.
For sure. A lot of Yorick's damage is in his ultimate. So in terms of trying to, because Shyvana is so single target focused, it's kind of a struggle. Which one do you go for? The Yorick, who can actually like beat my face in, or his ultimate, in which case does suck a hell of a lot of life out of you and provide him with some healing. So.
Yeah, it's never something to underestimate in the Maiden of the Mist, as we are going to get onto the loading screen here. Going to see what we have for keystones, what we have for summoner spells, what we have for skins, all that glorious good stuff here, as it is going to be Unsealed Spellbook for Vigar in the mid lane. Curling Vigar, I approve. We have Conqueror Warwick. That is actually quite interesting in my opinion.
I'm about it. So about it. Warwick definitely has a lot of damage, and you can get some Warwick builds that are actually pretty ludicrously strong, as well as just ridiculously hard to kill. when it comes into the mid game. So I have no doubt that, I mean, Warwick could put up some pretty high damage numbers if he was rolling.
And the double comment bot lane, I disagree on mage supports taking comment. I feel like Ares much more consistent damage.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And with Zyra, you can easily poke it with plants. I mean, I see where you're coming from with that.
But other than that, nothing too terribly unexpected. We have grass in the top lane for Yorick, Aftershock for the Maokai. Not really going to have a lot of fun in that top lane here.
No fun at all. Once again, I would not have taken the Aftershock. I definitely would have taken grass, just because if Yorick's going to be trying to beat on you with grass, you might as well get some health back.
Yeah, and by the way, chat, if you have not thrown up those hashtags yet in the chat, want to see everyone voting in chat, because, you know, we actually have people counting that. Totally we don't. Don't listen to me. I'm crazy. Want to see people, whether they think that we're going to see the series end with a 3-1 in favor of Team Crank, or whether or not RNG is going to push this to a game number 5. Please stay tuned here on Risen Esports. Oh, wait, we're actually not going anywhere. Why am I saying please stay tuned? I don't even know anymore. What is this game?
We're getting ready to go here, Primus. Like, we're just loading into the game, seeing if we can get any. We haven't had any like cheeky level 1 plays coming in yet. It's always been a spread eagle trying to account for the other team doing something a little sneaky.
Also something I would like to see chat too is I want to see people bet to see what build we're going to see from Corinthia, whether it's going to be all of the damage build that we saw in game 1, or is it actually going to be the correct build, which we've talked about the entire series.
Too true, too true. There's nothing too. The only interesting thing coming out of these Keystones, I mean, other than Rise having Airy, which I mean is semi-regularly taken, is going to be this Warwick with Conqueror. I'm ready to see what. I haven't seen anything too crazy with this rune just yet. Granted, it only came out a couple of days ago. I played a decent amount of solo queue, but I really it was hyped up a lot. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this is going to be so ridiculously OP." So I'm ready to see some OPness. Let's go, Alpha. I fully believe you can get some stuff done.
Something I do want to quickly back up. So, you know, in the last game, how you talked about how Rise was one of those champions who really looked to take minion dematerializer.
Looks like he took a stopwatch instead, huh?
Yes, he did not take that minion dematerializer, and it's actually Anchor who's picking that up on the Vygar.
Yeah, Anchor's definitely going to need it, because Rise has. I don't think Rise necessarily needs it into a Vygar, just because Vygar, his wave clear is pretty garbage up until he has either 1 or 2 items to be able to one-shot the backline. So at that point, you're going to be roaming as a Rise anyway. So I don't think it's absolutely imperative in terms of this matchup specifically for him to take it. So might as well save some money on your Zonias, because you're for sure getting that.
Yes, that is definitely an all-important build, even if you cannot do the get out of jail free card on the Rise anymore with that change to the interaction with this Realm Warp.
I don't miss that at all, don't worry. I'm totally down with not letting him get the Paladin bubble hurt his way out of there. Hell no.
Yes, and this early game is probably going to be pretty slow. I'm not going to see anything too exciting. There's going to be a lot of poke going in. We're going to see a fair bit of damage actually coming in, forcing out the flash from Arrow. That's kind of the thing that we're talking about with these mage supports, is you have to be so careful early on in the game, and Nate's gonna get some beatdowns thrown on him by those little ghouls.
Yeah, and Lala just noticed it was like, oh, Arrow's sitting here, took Q level 1, they hit level 2 first, he just dazzles him right in the face and is like, and what? So
no, he actually started Dazzle. Actually.
Oh, did he start Dazzle? That wasn't even a level 2. Well, dang, then yeah, they'd been just straight up right in the face with the Kaiser level 1 burst. I mean, you got to give it the respect.
Yeah, it was a little bit unexpected here, but they've still got a very strong poke lead, but they do eat through all of the pots on the side of I Miss That and Arrow, so they at least do have a negligible sustained advantage down in that bot lane.
Right, absolutely. Oh,
actually, yes, Nate Rose trying to kill the baby cage to get out, eating so much damage from this Yorick, and we see why it has actually been banned in the last few games with the amount of pressure it can put up, especially against these top lane tanks.
Yeah, Yorick has a really good matchup in the Malphite, or in the Maokai rather. Just because he has the ability to push you into the tower, and if you try to step up to the minion wave, he'll just smack you with a shovel. So we're going to see how well Nate Rose can farm on the turret, even though Mr. Pudding's not farming very well himself.
Yeah, I don't like the other thing that I find really confusing is why both these top laners continue to use Twisted Advance aggressively when you're really not getting anything from doing that. Like if you had grass, like it would be understandable to me, but I don't know, when you don't have grass and you're wasting your W, which is really your only defense tool as Maokai, I feel like that could be punished so heavily.
No, for sure. And you both have sustain in the lane as well, which is going to be like any damage you do actually cause, especially with the only damage you're going for is your aftershock, really. It's just going to be healed back up by the Yorick.
Yeah, and also in this game, turning in on League of Legends to see whether or not a shovel can actually beat a tree.
Right. Chop up some roots maybe, but we'll see how deep Nate Rose can grow. Got the baby cage again.
Baby Cage is going to come in. He's got a lot of ghouls. He's going to do a lot of damage. Shovel. Oh, nice use of the Twisted Advance right there. Is going to pull him under tower. Is going to eventually even out the trade. But given that he is out of mana, he is going to have to back.
Right. I'm looking to see some double ups in the bot lane. I understand you had a really good. He's really good with his ultimates. He needs to execute that lane pressure, right? Kai'Sa's a really short range JD carry. She has to walk up to the minion wave in order to farm. You have a really easy Q off your casters right into her face that she can't even dodge. So
especially considering that the Zyra can set it up so easily by just queuing up the back line.
Oh, right, and not only that, I mean, yeah, definitely to get your crits, but I mean, you can basically control where she goes with. They have a ton of zone control on this bot lane, where Zyra gets some easy roots. You can throw some plants down. Like it should be a cakewalk for this bot lane after now reaching upwards of level 3, level 4, with the ability to now push with all of your abilities.
Yes, but they actually do have a CS advantage in this bot lane between Monkey and Lala, which is, I think you have to credit to that early level 1 trade that they had, blowing Arrow's flash. However, they have not been able to punish Arrow for blowing that early flash quite yet, as he's down to about 45 seconds on that cooldown. So is able to get out scot-free despite blowing that flash, but it did cede lane priority over a little bit.
Right, and they're doing a really good job now on the side of Crank to hold the minion wave down in the bot lane. They're not trying to go any. They're trying to keep. Generally, you want to pressure so you can keep the other bot lane away from the Shyvana. But while
we have ultimates coming in the top lane. Mr. Pudding going in with the Maiden and the miss. Nice rotation. Does pull the flash. Is going to miss the W. Is trying to do enough damage to get the execute ult with the ultimate. One more auto, not going to have enough. Needed one more ability to land, so that is going to be the primary burst going down. While on the other side of the map, Corinthian does solo down the Drake, so despite the ability of Alfire on that Warwick to solo that Drake, it still goes over to Corinthian.
Right, and missed absorbing that pressure.
Yes, and we do still have the Maiden up in the top lane. We need Alfire show his face up there, trying to just probably a little zone control, make sure his top laner could get out. Minion wave was shoved in by Ryze, and we do see that lane disadvantage has been prevalent throughout the series, where Anchor's not doing the greatest in terms of farm throughout this whole series.
Right, and what a bro made of the miss. Just holding this wave for you, collecting a whole ton of farms. So they didn't actually kill it, which is going to push the wave back towards Nate Rose. But hopefully he can make something of it. He definitely needs to see us.
Every little bit will help, especially with him having to back. Did not dedicate that TP, and I have to question that decision.
Right.
Because he's going to miss that wave and a half of XP and gold. Actually, no, he's going to catch that, but he's still down a significant amount of gold and XP.
No, absolutely. And luckily, Maokai has a relatively cheap build, so I mean, he's not going to need the gold as bad as Yorick does. But Yorick being up 20 CS is exactly where he wants to be. Doesn't have a care in the world. Has to start worrying now that Shyvana just hit 6, but got a little trade going on at the bottom lane as well.
Yeah, but he has a Sheen now. That's all he needs. Is he only needs that Sheen?
Yeah, it's actually like pretty ridiculous as to how easy is to underestimate like Yorick's ability to 1v2, right? He does ludicrous amounts of damage, and unless y'all both when a gank comes through, unless y'all both focus the exact same target, whether it's Yorick or the Maiden, then split and focus on that can end up just him killing you both.
Yeah, you really need to commit to killing the Maiden first because that's what gives him that extra layer of sustain. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but you do need to be able to get that mist off the table as soon as possible. And neither bot lane's still back. They're both just sitting down here farming.
Yeah, and Kaiser's picked up a 15 CS lead in this lane, so she's doing a lot better than she was last time.
Oh, we do have the little bit of trade once again in the top lane, still not quite accomplishing anything as we have 25 gold going in. LaFell, I don't know if he actually wanted to land that Dazzler or not, given how much he has left in that mana pool. We have Hellfire rotating down, does have the Infinite Duress. Oh, is going to get the flash. I don't think the Cosmic Radiance was necessary there, given that the Infinite Duress didn't miss because of the flash. But because that's a very important cooldown to be missing down in that bot lane.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you just need better communication between Yuki and Lala. But in terms of the one thing that Yuki needs to do a little bit better is flash in a straight line. If he hadn't have flashed, if he hadn't have flashed far enough, or what was just a hair closer, that Infinite Dress still hits and you lose the flash.
Yes, and Doctor still showing dominance in this mid lane. The top lane CS discrepancy has closed a little bit. We have the double BFs once again coming in. So it's going to have that Q evolve coming in for Monkey. So it does have that early priority. We have both parts of the lethality build coming in for I Miss That. And I feel like when you're behind is misfortune. I feel like that puts you in a really difficult spot as Corinthian is going to find Hellfire in his jungle. And Hellfire is extremely low, is going to get smited. Ultimate is available. That should be Hellfire falling. Flash coming in. He hasn't used the E yet. Is he going to actually, is going to still get the first blood, but he is going to trade the kill back.
Yeah, good play by Hellfire. Dragging him in as close to the turret as possible before turning because he's pretty much dead regardless. So this is a good play to trade the kill, even though it wasn't ideal. Normally, it's the other way around. We have the Warwick invading Shyvana, but...
Well, I actually want to quickly say it was actually a misplay because Corinthian actually used the E too early. He used it when he was still on the camp, and if he had saved the E, he probably could have saved his flash because the E damage probably would have been enough to get the kill. But can't say 100% sure. I haven't played Shyvana recently, so I'm not 100% sure what the actual damage is coming in on it, but it was still a potential outplay that they could have made. And there's like, glorious poke in the bot lane. And I do want to mention, as we are going to have a little bit of trade in the top lane, still probably not going to die, but Medium will give lane priority. In situations like this, you really want to look to try to call your jungler up to the top lane to try to force a dive with the Maiden available, as Nate Rose is just eating so much damage from it.
Yep, you see that Maiden damage that is absolutely crazy. Which is most of the damage out of Yorick's ult. Yorick took Demolish. You can see he's already got 1 or 2 procs on that tower, and so he is just looking to push down these structures as fast as possible, get this early game gold into RNG's pockets.
Nate Rose, I don't think you want that trade. You're going to have the shovel coming in for a couple hundred damage.
Oh, yeah. But it looks like Shyvana's sitting there trying to start up the Rift Turtle, so he might get a solo on this.
Yes,
too.
Yes, it is going to ult for it. Could end up trading the Drake. In retrospect for it, we do, but it is just an air Drake. While it is a good Drake to have, it's not a huge Drake in terms of all losses. They are going to secure that Rift Herald early on, which is a good denial from the team with the split pusher. So I think that's a good call by them to take it, as Lala is just getting beaten up down in the spot lane. Has no.
Hellfire making a beeline for that Drake as well.
Yes.
He's like, oh, they got that Rift. I got to go for that Drake, but they're coming down to contest it.
Yes, and Corinthian is sitting at full HP, so can very easily contest it. But without Dragon's Ascent available and no Blasting Cone, has no way to get into the pit. So it's entirely easy for them to look to set up a play here. Nate Rose going in once again for a tray onto Mista and just really not enjoying that at all.
Yeah, Mista won't really be able to kill him without the Maiden, unfortunately. More bot lane action.
Ooh, we are going to have an engage. We do have a nice stun coming in onto I Mr. Dad. Does have the ability to turn around with the bullet time here, but is going to back off. We do have the engage onto Corinthian. We do have the Realm Warp coming in on top of Nate Rose eating so much damage in the top lane. Everyone's getting out, but here comes that ultimate. Is going to secure the kill onto Monkey. Very nice continuation of that engage down to the bot lane. They get the dragon off the back of that as well. Could also turn into a first tower. However, we do have Corinthian hovering the winds, does have ultimate available.
Yeah, they ended up scoring the Drake off of that and pushing off Corinthian. So they end up trading up, getting that full kill in the bot lane with the Misfortune ulti, the Taric Dazzle coming in just too late before right after Monkey goes down. So Monkey did have the flash to get out of that, I believe.
Ooh, we do have a little bit of a trade, but Doctor has that Abyssal Mask. It's not going to be eating a ton of damage from Anchor, who I don't think has used his heal, hasn't used the spellbook yet. And I feel like if you're using that spellbook, you really need to be taking advantage of that. And Nate Rose might just die to goons here.
Right. You got to give it the respect, which sometimes means giving up the tower. Oh, will he make it out?
No. Okay. That's the second time he's gotten flash. TP coming in. Alfire does have the ultimate available. Is he going to land it onto Anchor? Yes, he is. And for the rest, heal coming out immediately. Nice use of the Twisted Advance. We have the Wrist Tower being summoned in the mid lane, punishing that rotation, potentially trying to secure this mid lane tower. But he don't think he'll be able to secure it, as we do see both I Mr. Dad and Doctor rotating to mid lane to defend.
Right. And unfortunately, they don't have the Misfortune ulti, which wouldn't do as much to begin with, but it's at least going to get a charge off. It's not the worst place another Rift Herald, but you gotta watch out for what's coming up the river.
Yes, yes, we do have. Okay, that was an interesting flash. Alfire is gonna get out with the flash, but Donkey's gonna get eviscerated off the map. Bullet time and the damage coming in from Arrow, and that was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, that's how. Oh man, that's how much damage they've got, especially early with the Zyra Misfortune combo. Zyra hits that E, she hits her ultimate, and Misfortune can get basically a free ultimate in on that as well. It'll 100-0 you until you pick up at least a couple of items, maybe even more, because you're going for that Taric. You're going for the Taric tier build once again. Not that I'm bashing your Taric tier build, but in terms of like trying to go into these really hard, damage-heavy lanes, I might go with something else.
I still don't think the early Locket Rush would have made that big of a difference in the bot lane.
I mean, you could do Redemption, you could do just about anything, but as true as true, they're just gonna get abused regardless. That goes the ulti.
There's the Cosmic Radiance. It's gonna come in. Monkey's gonna get knocked up by the Strangle Thorns, and we're not gonna be able to secure a kill on the backside. Mr. Dad's gonna get the slow off from the Make It Rain. Does not quite have bullet time available, so no kills gonna be coming in unless another Grasping Root comes in. Nate Rose is gonna pull out Maiden of the Mist. Does not gonna win this trade, but Corinthian has rotated up. Is gonna go, and Nate Rose needs so much damage, but no flash available, as he is able to get away as Corinthian rotates up and gets another kill onto that Shyvana. He's just been doing so much work on this champion in both the games he's gotten it.
Yeah, absolutely deleted Mista there at the end. I was like, okay, are we going to see any, like, 1v2 outplays? Absolutely not. Mista just comes in.
Another ultimate coming in the mid lane onto Anchor. Is going to get the stun under tower. Can he get the ultimate? Yes, he can, getting the kill. Nice play coming in from Anchor.
Oh my gosh, so you're talking about the red side OP. Crank's not going down without a fight here.
Yeah, the game is most certainly not over, but look at that advantage that I mentioned with the Corinthian popping off on the Shyvana, up almost 60 CS in the jungle role. We saw how much CS he got in the last time he got on this Shyvana, so definitely not something to be underestimated with the amount of power on this champion. And they look like they're trying to dive on him, and again, another miss on the twisted advance, but it just doesn't matter.
Right, yeah, you just have a Trinity Force. She can still, Shyvana still has a ton of damage, and I don't know what Arrow's
you
doing.
actually want this trade.
Yeah. I don't know what you're trying to do up here, Arrow, but you chill out for just a second. They need to stop this game from spiraling out of control. RNG needs to wrestle a little bit of control back, especially with their mid game spikes. So
I mean,
the goal's not inconceivable. They're only 300 up on the side of Trinity. So
yes, and we're going to do a quick check on the AP status on that Veigar, sitting at only 177 ability power, so not doing quite well on those stacks quite yet at this stage, only sitting at 115 total gained ability power, but not sitting on a lot of AP.
right.
But
He's going to be a best Abyssal Mask Rush, which is moreover, he's going a little bit tanky Veigar just to try to get to the laning phase. So, which is not going to be the worst. He's going for a tier as well, so he'll be able to spam his abilities as much as possible. Have 40% CDR with that. They with the Abyssal Mask and Shurelia's combo. So, Seraph's combo. Yeah, exactly. We're in game 4, almost. Maybe going to game 5.
Yes, we are looking at an Ocean Drake here, so it's going to be Earth, Wind, and Ocean, not Earth, Wind, and Fire. But
still no good 70s jazz here.
No, unfortunately not here. As we did, so that Drake is going to be spawning here in less than 10 seconds. It does look like we are going to see a banner of command coming into the top lane. Doctor trying to get out with the ultimate is not going to get interrupted by the dragons as Alvar Infernal is going to come in, allowing him to get out. Monkey trying to continue the chase onto Hellfire. Going to do a lot of damage. Is going to get slowed by the Chilling Smite. Should allow Hellfire to get out.
Ooh, Monkey.
No, never mind. I am actually wrong. Don't listen to me.
Monkey doing work with that flash in. Totally
Baby Cage coming in onto Nate Rose as the maiden is going to get popped. A lot of goons on the table as a lot of damage is going to come down onto Nate Rose. But Nate Rose is actually doing a surprisingly decent job of keeping his tower at a fairly good HP level.
Yeah, he's actually, that is the entirety of Nate Rose's job, unless he's trying to get a teleport flank in which case he has to sacrifice the tower. So it's pretty difficult to judge against Yorick. So the best he can do is to keep this tower up against the Yorick and prevent the Yorick from going to different lanes and or moving onto these structures. And this is totally a win for CRC.
Yeah, especially because we hit the 20-minute mark. Baron has spawned, and you have not lost your top lane tower into a Yorick. That is a good day in my book for any top laner. Still, Shyvana build, not what I am looking for, but he is farming up a Storm out now over 60 CS. But that's really the only massive difference. Actually, his difference is making up for his solo lanes being down 30 CS each. So I guess it balances out, right?
It's understandable with the Maokai and the Veigar. The Veigar's not going to get everything when the Rise comes on the tower, but...
Ooh, stun does land. We do have the ultimate coming in from Monkey. Zanya stopwatch is going to come out, trying to buy a lot of time. Nice bottom Stranglethorns, but it's not going to be enough to keep his midlaner alive.
Man. Hey, Hellfire just needs to get around the map a little bit more. He just is never where he needs to be in this game, and that's kind of what's hamstringing RNG a lot, is that he needs to be a little bit more predictive with his pathing on where he needs to counter gank on, where they can play around vision, because for the first time, I think Crank is actually controlling vision rather well, especially where they're strong, which is on the bottom side.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of work getting a fair bit of vision control out, which has been their biggest weak point, in my opinion, throughout this whole series. It's been their vision control, which RNG's pretty much set the pace in every single game.
Right, absolutely. And the fact that they're improving over the course of this series.
We do have an engage coming in onto Hellfire. Is going to get locked up by the ultimate. It's going to flash over the flash chase. Is going to come in. Ultimate coming in with the infinite duress with so much damage. Corinthian is going to eat the ignite and bullet time, but Mista's out of position. Flash was in advance under the tower is going to take him off the map. Rise ultimate going to come in. However, he does get sent up by the Invent Horizon. Cosmic Radius is going to come in, buying the disengage coming in. But that should be this mid-tower fall, and given the low HP bars or they could just have just enough wave clear to keep them off the tower.
Oh man, like this is once again it's just like you're not playing to your comp. Yorick is not a TP flanker here. They got the Maokai. Maokai didn't even have to use his TP. Your job is to stay in the top lane. Oh, goodbye Arrow.
Yes, Arrow just gets deleted off the map with the Flash Primordial Burst. Nice play coming in out of Anchor. You know, lots of counterplay to be had right there.
Absolutely. Press R and win champions. They're my favorite. Syndra's back in the meta, so I'm surprised we didn't see that a little bit because the magic penetration items actually with Syndra are pretty dang good. So she benefits a lot from the Seraphs as well, being able to just, I mean, what mage doesn't, being able to instantly stand spells.
Yeah, it's something that is quite telling, quite interesting. As I do disagree with you on the Yorick. It's like Yorick can team fight, but he needs to not be in the position he's at currently in order to team fight.
Right, and I mean, them being behind, and I think it would just be a better use of his time. He has, he took Demolish for a reason, right? In terms of trying to get, at the very least, get structures down, open up the map a little bit, allow them, because they have they have the 1-3-1 comp. They want this map open. They don't want to have to catch side waves, you know, with just only being able to push up to the first tier turrets. So they want to try to, of course, Vigor's going to stay in the mid lane, but they want to force the Kaiser to the side lane where they were catching him out at prior to this, or in game 2 rather. You know what I'm saying? So they want to force these sort of disparities across the map in order to pull Crank out of their 5v5 team comp, or the 5v5 team fighting comp.
Oh, that is going to be a 10. I miss your dad. As Mr. Pudding finally takes down that top lane tower, Baby Cage and ultimate coming in from him, should be able to secure the kill onto Nate Rose, who did have a very nice twisted advance, is going to eat the ghouls, but the Banner of the Command Minion is going to actually do a lot of work against the Maiden, is actually going to allow him to take it down relatively quickly. Arrow on the other side is eating a lot of damage, and Banner confirmed hard counter to Yorick.
Oh, yeah. Not necessarily as hard of a counter as Malphite, but they started. Looks like that Crank started up the Baron, tried to turn onto RNG, but it didn't work out the way they wanted it to. But they still are up a solid 5,000 gold. So I mean, I wouldn't complain on either side, especially with the scaling they've got on the side of Crank.
I mean, especially when 3,000 of that gold, but the issue is 3,000 of that gold is unspent in Corinthian's pocket right now.
That's totally true. Corinthian, go spend your gold.
This is the second time I've said that this series.
Hey, there's camps up, okay? It's Shyvana, so must take camps, must get that Flame Horizon over Hellfire.
Yep. I mean, he almost double flamed Horizon in the last game he got Shyvana, so.
Right. It's not a real win if they don't get Flame Horizon.
Yes, it's not an actual Shyvana game unless you Flame Horizon.
Oh, you gotta eat them on every level. Yes. It looks like Rice is a fan of...
Flash is gonna come in onto Hellfire, is gonna be able to kite this out though, so does get the Flash for free from Lala, and I think that was a little bit questionable because I think he was assuming a little bit faster follow-up coming in from Anchor, as once again I am dealing with the spectator delay. Please tell me people are not dying on the screen.
Nope, just the dragon being taken on the side of Crank, and so that puts him at 2 oceans and an earth dragon. So they'll have the ability to. They don't have the greatest siege. They've got some zone control with the Vigor's Baby Cage, but they'll at the very least be able to maybe make some turret dives, take a couple of unfavorable trades, and still be able to, or maybe even take some damage trying the siege to get some of these structures down, because they've gotten the 3 outer turrets down.
Oh, double stun coming in with the Event Horizon ultimate is going to come in, but it looks like they're just going to immediately back away, let the Banner Minion do work on that tower. Not going to be able to secure it down, as Nate Rose is going to eat a little bit of damage from Doctor. They do get a fair bit of damage on that tower from that Banner Minion, and they still do have full vision control on the Banner side, on the Baron side, excuse me.
Right, and it's just going to kind of be rinse and repeat for the side of Crank until they can. They're scaling up. They have plenty of scaling. Ooh, Terra barely not caught. Oh, JK figured on his team. Well, but in terms of trying to keep these towers up, there's not a whole lot of safe wave clear on the side of RNG, which is going to be kind of their downfall in this, with the Vigor's ability to zone as well as the Maokai's ulti zone. You just push them off towers. Or Cheric ulti, and then they don't even care about damage and just kill the tower instead.
Yeah, it's like that's something that you can never underestimate with Vigar, and his ability to control sieges, whether it's stopping sieges or generating sieges with his power of the Event Horizon, which entirely blocks up a segment of the lane, allowing his team opportunity to operate.
Right, and we see Shyvana pick up the Trinity Force, so she's spiking real hard right now, spending all that gold. Shyvana picked up a straight up Trinity Force, but won't harp on her build too much anymore. Warwick is on a bargain build with that Tiamat into Spectre's Cowl. And he's going to be going full tank, just trying to hold on, trying to lock down one of the enemy members. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get through all the CC that CRC has to be able that has at their disposal. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see double banner as we see another Aegis being picked up by Lala, as I'm assuming that's going to be another banner coming in. No, I'm pretty sure it's not double locket. If it is double locket, please shoot me now.
I'm taking a book from the Kaiser. I'll take a page from Kaiser's book, right? It'll be all right. I think they might be able to get this mid tower. They really don't have. I mean, they have fine siege, but they just don't have anybody that can get in the range. And Kaisa does have decent wave clear when she has her.
Also, just as a check-in, we do have the Flame Horizon accomplished. Flame Horizon has been accomplished.
My gosh. I mean, Hellfire has to babysit the lane so hard that he doesn't even get time to farm his own jungle. Because you got the Vigor and the Kaisa so far ahead, it's just kind of Corinthian's prerogative to run wherever he wants to on the map to take particular things down. And with this much damage, like between, I know we said it before with the Jinx comp that you were talking about last game, but this game, their Baron is actually insane. Like, in terms of having...
we are going to have the engaged Cosmic Radiance. It's going to come in. Nate Rose just doesn't take any damage. Ultimate's going to get canceled out by the Cosmic Radiance. A little early by I Miss Your Dad. Lala is trying to disengage. Killing spree in the silent for Corinthian as he 1v1s Doctor. And that's going to be 2 towers because we have Monkey in the top lane. We have these trying to survive in the mid lane. So much damage coming out of Anchor as they're actually going to be able to win this 3v4 in the mid lane, as Anchor should be able to slog down this kill. They get 2 towers in the side lanes, possibly even an inhibitor tower. Just what is going on?
It wasn't what I was talking about with a Kaiser Shyvana 1-3-1 comp. This was supposed to be the side of RNG's 1-3-1 comp, but they're making it work, picking up an inhibit. Like, granted, it's 31 minutes into the game, but they don't even need Baron buff at this point. Jeez.
So yeah, I mean, as much as I complain about the Shyvana build, but when you're literally becoming the split pusher for the team and you get to sit in side lane all game, Triforce is actually a really good item.
No, absolutely. They're going to get 3 inhibs here. Yeah, all 3 inhibs down by 31 minutes, going on 32. 10,000 gold lead. I don't really see how RNG can come back from this. Their entire... They once again picked a win lane, win game comp, which is how they won game 2, but it's not, like, if the Yorick gets behind, he can't split push into the he can't split push into the Maokai because the Maokai is just not going to care, and Yorick's not going to do any damage. But they're onto the Baron already. They're just burning that guy. That is gone.
Wait, there was a Baron there?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? And
less than 15 seconds.
3,000 gold on Maokai, on Shyvana, and on Kaisa. So just straight up buying items at this point. I think he's going for a Gunblade next.
Full Righteous Glory. Waiting on no, she could be going Frozen Mouth third, which is what she did in Corinthian did in game 2 when he got Shyvana.
Oh, I was talking about the Kaisa.
Kaisa, yeah. I mean, you're so far ahead. Why not?
Oh, I mean, that's fair.
I don't think she has I don't think she has enough attack speed for the upgrade on her E. I could be wrong.
No, it's never a good idea to try to split your build all the way to get all 3 upgrades. You generally want to stick with the 2 in terms of efficiency. But going in. Oh my, goodbye, Zyra.
Wait, there was a Zyra there as the fight is going to continue. Cosmic Radiance coming in, but too much damage coming in. Bullet Time does come in and do a lot of damage, but not quite enough as Crank, the underdog, wins the series 3-1 and advances to the finals.
Oh my gosh, this is just for total destruction, and they do it with only winning basically a single early game throughout this entire series. Arguably, you could say they won the early game here, but I think that this was probably our most evenly matched when it comes to early game, because we were trading objectives in the top and bottom side, like we're trading Rift Herald for dragons, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't until just right at the mid game when things started falling apart for RNG, and once you hit a roadblock with that kind of comp, if the Yorick can't apply pressure, if the Rise can't clear waves, you're basically dead in the water.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I feel like the tale of the series is that Corinthian on Shyvana versus Alfire on Shyvana was two entirely different Shyvanas.
Right, and I mean, I don't even think Corinthian did the majority of the work in this game. He only put out 10,000 damage comparatively to like double, 2.5 times that on the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa is, I think the big stark contrast is necessarily that Monkey just realized, oh, I need to be with my team in team fight in a team comp. Does that make sense? Like in terms of just putting out all the damage, because why they lost game 2 originally too was because the Kai'Sa was always in a side lane getting solo. So definitely props up to Monkey this game, putting damage on the board, as well as Anchor. I mean, flashing in, deathless, phenomenal series on the side of CRC.
Okay, so I have to ask you, total series MVP coming in here. You get the deciding vote. I have my pick on who I think deserves to be the MVP, but I'm going to allow you to have the first say on this.
Okay. Part of me, just because and this is not for you, Hyper. Part of me is I want to give it to Anchor just because he knew his role in, like, granted, if we could pick one for either side. Doctor's Jace was absolutely nasty, but Anchor being able to fill the role like of an AP Nautilus, go deathless, be able to also not necessarily feed in game 2 and be a primary factor in them coming back and winning game 1, I'd probably give it to Anchor.
Well, I do agree with your opinion. Another name that I feel like deserves to be mentioned in that list, this is of course Corinthian, but also the play from Lala, despite being very unnoticed, was actually always very rock solid down in that bot lane.
Right,
like,
and
outside of the one game, which was game 2, where he fed out of his mind on the Morgana.
Absolutely. And I mean, I definitely think that, yeah, Lala, I could probably, you convinced me. I definitely, especially with that disgusting amount of damage outside of game 2, just in terms of game 3. So that was pretty like brand play did very well, but I mean, I think
that was Arrow played brands.
Oh, Arrow played brand. My bad. Let's see, but regardless, out of the CRC's bot lane, the absolute insane amount of damage they put up in the last game as well. Still, but just they deserve all the praise.
Yeah. So final answer is: are you swapping to the bot lane, or are you sticking with Arrow in the mid lane? Arrow, Anchor. Sorry.
we don't even know what's going on anymore. I'm probably gonna stick with it. I'm probably gonna stick with Anchor actually, just because I needed the namesake. I got the namesake, and I'm just as satisfied, if not more satisfied, than Hyper is with that.
Okay, so we do have the final answer of our series MVP being Anchor. It's been a fat.
What's up?
What? I'm confused. What's going on? Anyway, whatever. Anchor gets MVP from us, whether or not it actually is a legitimate MVP. Who knows? Who cares? It was a great series of both games. We do still want to congratulate RNG for a fantastic season here. at Risen Esports. They had a very strong performance. They do still believe I have the third place game next week, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. I'm just here as a sub. So I do believe they still have one more series to play. We do still have, I believe, a attempted interview with the captain and MVP for the side of Crank here shortly. So please stay tuned, everyone, as we are still going to be on stream here for at least the next few minutes here. So looking at the series as a whole, how did Crank really put their foot down on this series? Like, what really stood out to you in terms of their performance game to game this series?
I think they just played to their win conditions. To put it shortly, they played to their win conditions a whole hell of a lot better than RNG did. They just couldn't. RNG could not execute the 1-4 comp that they, or the 1-3-1 comps that they put together. That was their downfall in 2 of their games. Whereas Crank stuck to their guns. Team fought really hard and ended up bringing out the win.
Yeah, just a lot of very good plays coming in from them. They have a great Drake control in pretty much every game that they won. And even the game that they lost, it was still relatively close in terms of games back and forth. There really wasn't anything too out of the normal in terms of the game from top to bottom. In terms of standout performance, they had a really, really fast closeout in Game 3, which is when they got the massive early game advantage, and they snowballed extremely well, which I was really surprised to see and really happy to see, because that's one of the biggest struggles I see with low elo teams, is that they're not able to effectively go to anyway. Whatever.
No, absolutely. Like their ability to close. I totally feel where you're coming with that. Yeah, the low elo's ability to close, especially like game 1 where you have comebacks, very difficult. Something you got to practice.
So we are going to take a short final break before we come back with what I assume to still be those interviews. If you do have to head out for the night, thank you all for tuning in. Here at Risen Esports, we should hopefully be back with those interviews here back in just a few minutes. If not, have a great night, everyone, here from Risen. And we are back, everyone. Just as I said, after that short break, we are being joined by the captain and MVP of that series with Lala and Anchor, how are you two doing after a well-played series?
We're feeling really, really happy, I guess. You know, we worked really hard and everyone had high hopes that we were going to beat RNG or that RNG was going to win. And I guess we needed to feel like we were going to show them up, I guess.
Well, I just felt like everyone anticipated, given the circumstances around you guys qualifying for semis, that you guys were a distinct underdog coming into the series. So did that kind of play into your mentality at all throughout the series, or were you much more even keeled and just like, okay, we know we're a good team, we just gotta execute?
Well, I just think, we wouldn't be in the playoffs if we weren't a good team. So, and RNG is a fantastic team. I think that, there's 100 different possibilities, where they move on instead of us. But I think that, we are a good team. Just we were under the radar for so long, and I hope that, this puts us out there as a team that, is worth our stuff if we manage to be, what's considered the best Rampage team on paper.
It's all right.
Yeah. Oh no, go for it.
I give my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
I subbed for this series. I honestly had no idea what was going on until about maybe 20 minutes before it happened. For me, it was awesome because Satana is someone I've played on 2 separate teams with, and I've played with him for months now. And just recently is when we haven't been on the team. So it was really fun to play against him mid lane. And same with Aerocross. I've played on teams and against him, and I just really enjoyed playing against friends.
Absolutely, and I'm sure was it in terms of like team comp planning, because you just said 20 minutes out you had no idea what was going on. Was all this happening in the champion select? Did y'all just kind of say it was 1-1? Y'all just kind of be like, hey, screw it, we're gonna go for any type of comp, like the Yi comp in general. I mean, we were sitting here talking about this earlier, and I thought you were making a personal shout out to me about the Yi, because you definitely hit hyper hard when it came to the Nautilus. But wait, what was your thought process in going through those picks and bans? Because I think y'all did outdraft them pretty hard.
Yeah, the Yi comp we were talking about, because we do understand that Master Yi has become a lot stronger with the Ginsu's buffs, and Conqueror being a very, very powerful mastery. So we just figured, we'll take a game where we can snowball the crap out of, Master Yi, run Karma, run Shirelias on it, and just completely bowl them over. And it didn't quite go that way because Master Yi wasn't, getting, these insane, disgusting, multi-man kills consistently. But I still think
the boss. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, he wasn't a raid boss. I still think that, we played the comp very well.
Oh, yeah.
Especially given that we kind of got dumpstered game 2.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Yeah, game 2 was a little bit rough for you guys, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Corinthian in the jungle, because I did spend a lot of time talking about him, and is like Shyvana like his go-to comfort pick, because he was doing so much work on that champion. Like, even if it wasn't in terms of team fights, he was getting so much CS, always pressuring lanes. Is that something that's really his play style? Or is that something that's really developed as you guys grew as a team?
Well, Corinthian is actually another sub for us. He's filling in for our jungler, Riskaran. And we were working out, what we can play, given that, he's a different jungler compared to what we're used to. Riskaran likes to run very tanky junglers, occasionally likes to throw Nocturne or Olaf in there. But we just wanted to play around, where we're strongest, and we wanted to, capitalize on the fact that we had someone who knew what they were doing on Shyvana. And yeah, I think that, the games we did win with Shyvana, it worked. He was able to get very far ahead, very farmed, and was just a very nice powerhouse all the way through.
Yeah, what was really funny about that is right after we had our games, their main jungler came into voice comms and he said, I didn't even know if that guy played jungle. But on a serious note, that guy, his objective control was out of this world. I really respect him for that.
Absolutely. Y'all had that entire Drake control that allowed you to come back in game 1, and they just, I think that was one of RNG's biggest struggles was their ability to close. Is that something that y'all have been working on in terms of like garnering an advantage, being able to close it out, or have you made any sort of focus like that in your practice?
What we've noticed is that we tended to be really indecisive in the past. Like we'd make a call and some people would go in on it, some people wouldn't. And we spent a lot of our time practicing how we could, really tighten that up as a team, whether that was being decisive or all committing to different objectives that we needed to take. And I feel like if you're going to, especially in lower elo, I think that macro control can win games, even if, you're clearly outskilled by players in a certain game. And I think that, especially in game one, where we didn't have quite the same level of dominance as we did in the last two games of the series, we were still able to, really find what we needed to do, and we took what we could capitalize on, and we were able to get the win.
Yeah, me being a sub, I don't know much, but this team has probably had the best comms out of any team I've ever been on. Every single person on the team would say, get away from that, or go for that fight. Everyone would literally say that almost in unison in the comms, and it was heavenly, to say the least.
Yeah, so going off that, wanting that more decisive calls is, so I want to go back and look at game number 1 real quick and how you guys really started your comeback, which was all those catches onto Doctor on the Xerath in the side lane. Was that something you guys had noticed he continuously doing, or it's just like, oh, this is an opportunity, we're going for it?
I feel like that RNG didn't really respect the fact that we did have that potential to come back. They were playing very aggressively. They were doing things that were honestly very questionable, when Xerath as a champion would have done very well being with the team, dropping, the right of the arcane barrage, dropping the stuns and the massive AoE damage. And I feel like maybe the calls just weren't there, to keep Xerath safe, because I feel like Xerath was one of their biggest win conditions with just how much AoE damage he could contribute, and the fact that our team shouldn't really have a way to get on to the back line with the Leona and the Jhin just being able to lock down people that wanted to go in. So I think that, they just didn't play to their win conditions well enough, and we were able to see ours, and we took what we could and ran with it. And I'm honestly really proud of my team, because they try to keep their heads up, even, if it's a really dire situation, because we're always trying to look for a way out. And especially because we're the underdogs, we want to show people that we're here to win, and we're here to, put our names out there. And if anything, I think we've done that in spades tonight.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it that depending upon who y'all play in the coming match, in terms of who you put out. No, I mean in terms of if they have any subs, et cetera, what the ban list is going to be like against y'all, because I do feel, do y'all do a lot of theory crafting in terms of like picks and bans, those types of things? Because I just feel that, especially like in game 3, for instance, when y'all just mowed over them, like with that, like mid draft, I couldn't get over the fact that they chose Jinx in the first round when y'all already had Kai'Sa. You know what I mean? You didn't, like, there was no way you were going to ban Jinx. There was no way that, like, because they just took this extremely weak early game, when the early game was the only thing that RNG had going for them. Do y'all, like, actually do a lot of theory crafting, pick ban, like, research practice? How does that go within y'all?
Our team likes to focus on, playing to our strengths. We've been looking at a lot of the power picks this season and thinking, what can we do, with what we've got. Our ADC Monkey really loves Kai'Sa. He's taken that champion like a fish to water. And I think that, especially tonight, given the fact that he did have a different support than what he's used to. I'm actually the mid laner for Team Crank. I was filling in for our support, who is out of town currently. But yeah, we like to look at all of our different picks as a team, and we like to analyze what our opponents have been playing, through their OPs or their match histories, what they've been playing in official tournament games. And we like to, decide on, okay, this is what we're going to prioritize. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to play to those win conditions. And, we're going to try to make it a situation where the only way that the team can beat us is, if they're just outskill us that game.
Yeah, so we touched on it during the stream on how you guys really weren't anticipating to be here due to some circumstances. You guys ended up qualifying for it. So when you guys how did you guys react when you found out that you were actually going to end up playing in semis? Like, did you guys feel like you had a new life, or did you feel like you always had the opportunity to get this far?
I think that even if what happened didn't happen, I think we'd be here because we're a team that, doesn't give up, and we want to show people that, we're in it to win it. And we were pretty devastated, with the results of what happened at first. And, we took some time to cool our heads, and then we realized, hey, something's up with this. So, everyone on the team worked really hard. We worked, dozens of man hours, to get everything figured out. And we're glad that, the results turned out the way they did. Tonight, I guess, was a fruition of, that desire to come back, because I personally, as the captain, didn't want my team to be seen as a team that needed that sort of circumstance to advance. And I think that motivation really helped fuel my play style personally. And I think that I can speak a lot for that as well. Our team, we're very close, and when one of us, is down, we'll bring each other up, and we just want to be that team that can show people, again, like I said, that we don't just need a controversy in our favor to move on.
No, absolutely. And what about how, looking forward now? How do you all feel about the upcoming match against FNF? You pretty confident when it comes to that? Were they who you were anticipating to face upon winning against RNG?
FNF has been a really, really nice team with us. They've scrimmed with us. We're good friends with them. So, of course, we want to perform, but we also want to just have a good time as friends. It is a very serious match. It is the finals, but I don't think that we could be playing against anyone else.
No.
So that is going to be the final question. I do once again to both congratulate FNF and Crank for qualifying for our finals. I want to thank both Arrow and Lala for joining us here on this interview session, and I do want to wish you guys the best of luck in the finals, and maybe we'll get a 5-game series. Who knows?
Let's hope so.
And we are going to hand it off to the man behind the production scene real quick, Mr. Hypertension. But real quick before that, I want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For myself, Pierce, and Primus here for providing your commentary for today's games. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And here's Mr. Hyper.